Hello and a very very warm welcome to India Voice Fest 2023। 10 दिनों के सफर का आज है 8वां दिन, 8वीं शाम। 7 दिसंबर को हमने ये जब सफर शुरू किया था तब एक बहुत बड़े हाथी की तरह महसूस हो रहा था कि पता नहीं इतना भारी सफर हम कैसे पूरा करेंगे। पर देखिए देखते ही देखते 8 दिन निकल गए और इन 8 दिनों में एक से बढ़कर एक इंडस्ट्री के दिग्गज कलाकार प्रोफेशनल्स हमारे साथ जुड़े और आप सबके साथ उन्होंने अपने तजुर्बों को साझा किया, अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस, अपनी इनसाइट्स बांटी। आई थिंक दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स India Voice Fest such a special place because of the way people so generously come and share their craft, come and share their heart, come and we get to pick their brains about the craft and about their life and career. And today is no different. Today, the first session of the evening is the Voice Actors Round Table, and we have some very accomplished voice artists in conversation with me today. पर उसके पहले कि हम आगे बढ़ें, लेट्स थैंक आवर स्पॉन्सर्स एंड आवर पार्टनर्स जिनकी वजह से ये पूरा कार्यक्रम मुमकिन होता है हर साल। इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट 2023 is conceived and curated by yours truly, Darrpan Mehta, produced and organized by Sugar Mediaz. Our main sponsors are Sound and Vision Studios. Our associate sponsors are Audio Magic. Our industry partners are MnM Talkies, Gulmohar Media, G-Corp Media, Aural Arts. Our proud supporters are Neshma Academy of Acting and Voice Acting, Surabhi, Javeri, Vyas, KRG Kreative Studio, and Skylink Freight Forwarders Private Limited. Thank you to all of you, and a big thank you to all of you, the hundreds of people and the thousands of people who have been watching this program or this event over the last 5 years. इस साल कल होगा इन ऑनलाइन सेशंस का आखिरी दिन, आखिरी शाम, और परसों हम लेंगे एक छोटा सा ब्रेक और रविवार को यानी संडे को होगा सबसे भव्य ग्रैंड फिनाले एंड अवार्ड सेरेमनी, जहां पर भारतीय वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के सैकड़ों कलाकार, आर्टिस्ट, टेक्नीशियंस, परफॉर्मर्स विल बी देयर, और जहां हम जश्न मनाएंगे वॉइस एक्टिंग, वॉइस ओवर्स और डबिंग में एक्सीलेंट काम करने वाले कलाकारों का विद द इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट अवार्ड सेरेमनी। और उसके बाद होगी एक बहुत ही शानदार सोशल नेटवर्किंग पार्टी एंड डिनर। तो अगर आपने अभी तक 17 तारीख का पास नहीं लिया है, सो दिस इज द QR कोड, गो अहेड एंड गेट योर डेलीगेट कार्ड राइट अवे। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं और एक छोटा सा प्रोमो ब्रेक लेते हैं फॉर द कमिंग सेशन, फॉर द अपकमिंग सेशन व्हिच इज द वॉइस एक्टर्स राउंड टेबल। ऑन द अदर साइड ऑफ दिस ब्रेक आई हैव 4 supremely talented voice artists of the Indian voice acting industry waiting to join us and to share their love, their passion for the craft of voice acting. I'll see you in just a bit. दिस इज द वॉइस एक्टर्स राउंड टेबल और हमारे साथ जो 4 अकम्पलिश्ड वॉइस आर्टिस्ट जुड़ रहे हैं, आइए सबसे पहले उनमें से जो सबसे पहले जिनको हम स्क्रीन पर लाना चाहेंगे, जिनको हम ज्वाइन करना चाहेंगे, उनका थोड़ा सा तारुफ, थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन आपको करवा दें। Our first speaker for this evening is Tanya Nambiar. Tanya is a woman who dons many hats. She's a singer, a voiceover artist, and an anchor. She's also the co-founder of El Diablo Sauces. She's been juggling all these roles effortlessly and gracefully. She's lent her voice to some of the biggest brands in the country: Zomato, Urban Company, OnePlus, Mama Earth, Asian Paints, to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for Tanya Nambiar on the screen.
Hi. Thank
Hi,
you for
Tanya.
having
How are you doing?
Good, good. Excited. This is my first time here, and I'm so excited, and I'm so grateful and honored, and I'm very excited to be here. So thank you.
The pleasure is all ours, and thank you so much for joining, Tanya. Tanya दिल्ली से हैं और इस वक्त आप दिल्ली में हैं, Tanya. Are you
Yes,
joining us?
yeah, Gurgaon
Lovely.
specifically.
गुड़गांव स्पेसिफिकली और अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं जानता हूं कि आप 17 तारीख को नहीं आ पाएंगी बट दैट्स फॉर अ ब्यूटीफुल रीजन एंड सो दैट्स एब्सोल्युटली ऑल राइट बट थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस ऑनलाइन टुडे और आइए बढ़ते हैं एंड लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस द अदर स्पीकर ऑन दिस पैनल टुडे. We're talking about Priya Adivrekar. She's an award-winning digital creator and established professional voice actor. She's won numerous awards, honors, mentions, and nominations for her work in digital media and content creation. Her journey as a voice actor began at the tender age of 8 when she bagged her first project, which is Buzz Lightyear, as a child voice actor. Since then, she's not looked back, and she's worked on more than 100 plus projects across various formats, including theatrical films, television shows, advertisements, and OTT web series. Please welcome Priya on the screen.
Hi, Darpan. So nice to
Hi,
virtually
Priya.
meet
How are you
you.
doing? So
I'm
nice
doing
to
well.
see you virtually, and I'm looking forward to see you on the 17th in Mumbai at the grand finale as well.
I am looking forward to the event.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us, and allow me to invite our next speaker on the panel, which is Annamaya Verma. Annamaya is an actor, a mimicry artist, and a dubbing artist. Being a performer, he loves to perform especially challenging characters with variations, be it front of camera, on stage, or on the mic. Some of the shows that he's lent his voice for are Game of Thrones, Shaun the Sheep. In fact, in Shaun the Sheep, he's played all the characters. He's literally like a one-man show. Besides that, Oddbods, where again he's played all the characters, Little Singham, Golmaal Jr., and the list goes on. Please put your hands together for Annamaya Verma on my screen.
Hi, Darpan.
Hi, Annamaya. How are you doing?
I'm good. Absolutely fine. How are you?
बहुत बढ़िया. Welcome to India Voice Fest, and thank you for sparing your precious time. I'm now going to invite our next speaker for the session, which is Nishka Raheja. Nishka is an absolute powerhouse of talent. She's been in the industry for about 9+ years. She started off as a dubbing director and has worked on movies like Namaste London, Chennai Express. She later got into voicing and has since voiced leading characters on Netflix and Amazon. Some of the notable projects voiced by Nishka are Barbie Dreamhouse, Adventures, Extraction, Sex Education, You, Money Heist, Lal Singh Chadha, Tu Jhuti Main Makkar, and so on and so forth. So please welcome Nishka Raheja on the screen.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me.
Hi
Hi,
Nishka,
So
I'm
Nishka.
nice to meet
wondering
you guys.
why did we miss out on you being such a lovely singer? Why did you not
Oh
mention
yeah,
that?
I don't know. I am a singer, but yeah.
Nishka is a lovely singer, and all of you, you should check out Nishka's feed. I think I've seen a few of your singing reels, or कुछ तो मैंने देखा है. I know about it.
Nice. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone, for joining in this evening. And this is, like I said sometime back, this is the 8th day of the 6th year of India's first and only conference and awards platform, completely dedicated to the voiceover industry. And I think all 4 of you are joining us at India Voice Fest for the first time. So let me start off by asking each one of you quickly. What are your thoughts about a platform like this? How relevant do you think this is? How do you think does this impact the craft and the industry in the long run? Let's start with Priya.
Well, I think it's not just an amazing platform for voice artists who are already in the industry, but it's perfect through activities like Voice Hunt for budding voiceover artists as well. And this was the need of the hour because we haven't had a platform like this or an event like this for the entire industry to come together. हम तो स्टूडियो में हमेशा बस हमारी स्क्रिप्ट और टीवी के सामने रहते हैं. We just have our communication with the director, but this is like an annual good enough affair for all the artists to come together and just get together for the love of our craft and art that we do. So it's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Priya. Tanya, you probably did not even know about this event क्योंकि बाकी प्रिया और निष्का और अनमया तो मुंबई में हैं और इनको जानते हैं इस इवेंट के बारे में कई सालों से पर आपको तो शायद इसके बारे में कोई भनक भी नहीं थी सो हम जुड़े उसके बाद you were very generous in accepting our invite to join us as a speaker. After that, I would like to believe that you figured out what this event is all about. So,
Yes.
what if you could share a few words about your thoughts on a platform like this?
It is so nice to see that there is a platform for this. As I said, we are just all of us, whichever part of the country we're in, we're just voices, right? People don't see us there; they see the other faces, more popular faces, and we're faces. And it's so nice that now there's a platform that celebrates our voices along with our faces, and we get to see, the people behind this craft. It's so important, and I feel like for me, being in Delhi, like Bombay obviously is the entertainment hub. And, everybody always told me, oh, you want to make it big, go to Bombay, go to Bombay. And for whatever reasons, I'm in Delhi. But, I always felt like an outsider. Like, people were like, okay, what do you do? Voiceovers, voiceovers. But now through this platform, I feel like I'm part of a community. And that is a very, very important, it's such a, I can't describe, it's a feeling because, as a singer, as an anchor, we have platforms to celebrate that. We have these MC awards and we have like singing, I have Rolling Stone and Rock Street Journal, all of that. Yeah. But for a voiceover, I was like this headless chicken. I was like, okay, I don't know who to discover. Like, now I feel like I'm part of a community. I see these wonderful people, colleagues who we've never met, but now we know each other's work. And I think it's really nice to celebrate all of that.
Absolutely, and I really wish that the next year you are here in Mumbai in
Absolutely.
person, and you will realize that the 500-600 people who come who get together are basically friends you've never met.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
so I think that's a great sense of community. Nishka, I'll probably ask you something else.
Yes.
You are in the younger lot of voices in the industry, but in very less time you've garnered a lot of popularity as an artist, as a personality. If I had to ask you, what would be your advice to your contemporaries or people your age who are probably trying to get a foothold into the craft today? What would be your advice to them?
Like the people who are just starting off or wanting to join, or who are
Yes, I
already
think
part
I
of.
meant that. I don't mean contemporaries as in people who are working with you. I mean people who are looking at, I mean people your age, but who are looking at getting into the craft now. So
Okay,
from your learnings, what advice would you give them?
I mean, I think all it takes is just the right kind of people who you meet. Firstly, you need to have the confidence. You need to believe in yourself that you can do this. And if you have the knack of it, if you have the art, if you feel that you can do this, you want to do this, you want to try something new, get into the field, and if you have the right people surrounding you and helping you, guiding you, because that's what happened with me. It just happened to me like by chance. I got into the industry, and I had a lot of people with me helping me. And yeah, that's about it. I think if you want to, then you can. Nothing can stop you.
Absolutely. So basically, you should be ready to hustle.
That's right.
That's very important. Anamaya, bhai, I want to ask you. Anamaya is very popular as not just as an artist, but even as a person in the entire community. And but when it comes to your work, you are known to be very versatile. So मैं जानना चाहूंगा अनमया तुमसे कि जब इस तरह का काम करते हो जहाँ पर इस तरह की सीरीज जहाँ पर इतनी सारी आवाजें करनी होती है तो ये एक चीज बड़ी दिलचस्प है क्योंकि कई बार जो लोग इस काम में नया नया आ रहे हैं या आने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं उनको लगता है कि अलग अलग आवाजें बना लेना या कार्टून की तरह आवाजें बना लेना दैट इज इक्वल टू बीइंग अ वॉइस आर्टिस्ट बट यू बीइंग अ प्रोफेशनल यू नो दैट इट इज मच मोर देन दैट सिर्फ आवाजें बना लेना ही वर्सेटैलिटी नहीं होती है सो व्हाट वुड बी योर टेक ऑन दिस
First of all, I would like to say कि your love towards the craft is very important. मेरे लिए कोई कैरेक्टर आता है या काम आता है तो आई थिंक कि सबसे पहले आपको उस काम से प्यार होना चाहिए. तो जब मेरे सामने कई कैरेक्टर्स आते हैं तो इट इज़ लाइक कि आई लव टू परफॉर्म, आई लव टू प्ले डिफरेंट डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स इन जनरल. So that is the thing which propels everything, and और वो मुझे push करता है कि इस चीज को करो. So basically, the love for the craft is very important, and your basic instinct, your the way you are, आपके अंदर क्या चीजें हैं, वो चीज अगर आपको मिल गई करने को, तो मुझे मिल गई, मुझे अच्छा लगता है. Actually, basically, the basic element of mine is to imitate everyone. मैं बचपन से करता आ रहा था. तो अब
So
मुझे जो मिलता है,
that's an important flair you need to have.
yeah, you have to that natural thing in you. मेरे में by chance था, I explored it, and तो अब जब मुझे कई characters मिलते हैं तो मुझे इतना अच्छा लगता है. Basically, I enjoy my work because I get to do lots of characters at the same time with the different voices, with a different body modulation and everything. So that is the thing that I love. So अगर आपको इस तरह की चीजें मिलती हैं तो आपको उससे प्यार होना चाहिए, उस काम से आपको मजा आना चाहिए, और आपके साथ लोग को मजा आएगा तो चीज बन जाएगी.
Yeah, that's true क्योंकि हम जो ये काम कर रहे हैं, जैसा मुझे याद है 2-3 दिन पहले हमारी उर्दू वर्कशॉप थी. तो आमिर खान नाम के एक शख्स हैं, हम लोग उनसे बात कर रहे थे, मैं उनसे बात कर रहा था, तो उन्होंने यही कहा कि कुछ शौक को लेकर बात हुई. तो वो बोले कि जो परफॉर्मिंग आर्टिस्ट होते हैं वो तो ये शौकिया काम ही है जो प्रोफेशन बन गया है. तो अनलेस आपको इसका शौक अगर है तो फिर देयर इज नथिंग दैट कैन स्टॉप यू, एंड शौक होना बहुत जरूरी है, लाइक यू सेड. So that's very important. Lovely. Priya, I want to bring you in. I want to ask you from, आप इतना अलग-अलग तरह का काम करती हैं. You are a voice artist. You are also a digital creator, and I noticed that you started working at a very young age. If I had to ask you, which is your favorite genre of voice acting, what would you say?
That's quite tough actually, because over the years there have been many genres, but I think one that's very close to my heart would be the animated characters. There's a lot to express, there's a lot to do there, because and now of course there are so many other languages that we are dubbing as well. तो हर एक एनिमेटेड कैरेक्टर में भी कुछ ना कुछ नया करने मिलता है. There's so much scope to be not just yourself but also bring in so many different personalities. So animation has been my favorite. Of course, theatricals and all will always be a huge plus. So much to learn and take away, but animated has a special place in my heart. It was also my first
That's
project
interesting.
for Disney.
Mhm.
So that first day, वो मुझे पूरा किस्सा अब तक याद है. तो वो दिन से लेकर आज तक I think animated that's why has a special place. पहला project है तो पहला प्यार है.
And rightly so. Today we are living in a time where the industry dynamics have changed so dramatically from earlier कि अब अगर आप कैरेक्टर्स या अगर आप कैरेक्टर वॉइस एक्टिंग अच्छा कर पाते हैं तो उस बात की ज्यादा वैल्यू है. वरना एक टाइम था जब हार्डकोर वॉइस ओवर्स या जिसको हम कहते हैं वॉइस ऑफ गॉड, उसको ज्यादा अहमियत मिलती थी. सो दैट वे द इंडस्ट्री हैज प्रोग्रेस्ड really well, and today we are living in times of the character voice or the character artist, and which is great. Tanya, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं, you are primarily a lot into voiceovers and you have this beautiful voice and a beautiful rendition style. And I also see that you're very, very active on social media when it comes to making videos and reels of you performing on camera. So I want to understand from you, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है अभी भी हमारी इंडस्ट्री जो है इसमें people are still not people haven't still become very, very comfortable with performing on camera as a voice. So and I see that you're wonderful at it. If people who are watching you should follow Tanya on Instagram, and you will see that she puts out these regular voiceover videos, and oh my God, absolutely amazing. So tell us, how has your journey been in terms of your social media presence, and how do you think does it help you as a voice artist?
So this all started actually, like, I've been doing voiceovers for a while. As I said, I've been doing it for like almost 8-9 years now, and started with like doing any work because I wanted to get a foothold into the industry. 2020 COVID hit and I lost a lot of singing shows. So like, I'm a jazz pop singer, so I lost a lot of shows, and voiceover work was increasing because everybody was putting out these ads and messages ki hum safe hai, this, that. So there was a lot of work, which was great, like touch wood. So I was just like, let me start, I wanted people to know, like, I don't think anyone knew that I did voiceovers, and I wanted to start putting a face to it because I know all, popular names and stuff, but I felt like thoda sa we should have and also because I've always been sort of like an, used to being in the spotlight, I was like, I want to, how can I mix my two worlds together? And never thought of it as a point of content. And the funny thing is, it started blowing up. I did it out of boredom. I did it out of getting more clients, because I was like, how do I approach and reach out to more clients so that they know who I am and what I do? So it was I've always been a salesperson. So it was a very sales come entertainment sort of tactic that I applied. And I started doing these behind the scenes of my voiceovers, and it clicked. And the funny thing is that these are the same ads, because I do a lot of ad work, digital ads and TVC. So this is the same digital ads that people will block by taking YouTube Premium or Spotify Premium, and these same videos are getting like 1 million plus views. And I was like, what is happening? And people were so interested in seeing the face, because we are voices that are telling people to buy this, subscribe to this, ye aapke liye acha hai, why, these are the benefits of this. But when they see a face, I think it becomes more human, and they're like, oh, this is the person who's doing the voice. And because when you're just, I mean, you see emotion, so it just, people were like so interested, and I think nobody was doing that. So I think that was what interested a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was a very organic, and I enjoyed doing it. For me, as somebody was saying before, that it's passion, like, as I'm juggling so many things. But even today, like, I have some work that comes in the middle of the night. I have a baby. I'm currently like 8.5 months pregnant, but I will do it because I love what I do. So that passion shows, and I think that's what converted. And I think today, when we see content, if it's organic, if it's not something that everybody's doing, that kind of works. People can see now what is fake, what is real, what clicks, what connects. So it was nice that I was able to shine a light on the industry for, people like, and now every day I'm getting messages, because suddenly everybody wants to be a voiceover artist, which is also
Yeah.
great. But people also think कि बस बैठ के बात करना है ना. I'm like, नहीं, बैठ के बात नहीं करना. There's a huge industry within that. So like, I'm not good at animated voices. I'm not good at doing that. I'm good at more direct voiceovers and like digital ads. So that is also very important for people to recognize. And I'm trying to shine a light on that there are different fields. It's not just अच्छा मम्मी ने बोला अच्छी आवाज है तो मैं बन जाऊंगा voiceover artist. It's not like that. So I think people connected with that content, and it's been doing really well so far.
एब्सोल्युटली आई थिंक आप भी कहीं ना कहीं वही कर रहे हैं जो हम करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, कि आवाज़ों को चेहरा दे रहे हैं. क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ वक्त पहले तक पीपल यूज्ड टू टेक प्राइड इन द फैक्ट कि हम मिस्ट्री रखते हैं, आवाज़ को चेहरा नहीं देते, लेट्स कीप इट मिस्टीरियस. बट आई थिंक टुडे वी नीड टू मूव विद द टाइम्स, एंड एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर कंफर्टेबल एंड ईच टू हिज ओन, मुझे लगता है कि बिल्कुल भी गलत बात नहीं है if you showcase your talent. And like I was saying the other day, sometime back, that there's a fine line between showing what you can do and showing off.
Yes.
So showcasing is a beautiful thing, and it only adds it gives you a lot of confidence. And I can see that, I've seen your videos, and in fact, even Priya and Nishka, I think, are very, very supremely active on social, and they take their social very, very seriously, and which is what I love that. And, kudos to them. Nishka, if I have to ask you, from all the work that you've done, if I have to ask you to highlight one which probably changed the trajectory of your career, or something that really got you into the stream, or something that you'll always be thankful for, what would that be?
If you go to see, there are like plenty of such projects, but I'll go back to one of my first theatricals.
Any one thing which made you feel that you've arrived, that you're now you're well entrenched into the craft?
Yeah. So one of my first theatricals was Smurf 3. I was Smurfette, and I also got to sing for the film, and I did the closing track for the movie. And that changed my entire, not career, like I was just walking into the whole field, but it was still like I was just out of prime focus as a dubbing director, and that was the first theatrical that I had done. So I was like, okay, this means something. I really have to crack it. I have to do this. And that's one of my very special projects that I've done. And I remember like Asif sir was directing the song. Actually, the song is more special to me because I walked into the industry because I wanted to do something with singing. And when I got the chance to do that, I was like really, really, really thankful and happy. And yeah, from there, that's there, and I'm here today, and it's just that.
Lovely, and it's going great, and you
Yeah,
have a
touch
long,
wood.
long, long way to go. Of
Yeah, I
course.
do. Thank
What
you.
about you, Annamaya? Which is that one project that you think can be your hero project, जिसको बोलते हैं कि यार इससे बहुत फर्क पड़ गया?
It's really tough for me to pick because it was an
Exactly.
organic process. मैं काम जब
Fair.
शुरू किया करता गया चलता गया और पता ही नहीं चला when I have arrived. So I mean this was the very एक के बाद एक धीरे धीरे लोग जाने लोगों ने काम देखा. So I cannot pinpoint a single project कि exactly इससे मेरे life में कुछ major changes आए. It
Hmm.
was
Okay, I
very
get that.
random.
That's absolutely fine. It's a very organic process. All
Yeah,
things keep
yeah.
happening every day. ऐसा तो सच में honestly ऐसा बहुत कम होता है. कुछ लोगों के साथ होता है, पर
जी,
ऐसा हमेशा नहीं होता है कि
हाँ,
किसी एक प्रोजेक्ट ने आपकी पूरे करियर की दिशा बदल
प्रयोग
दी हो.
बदल दिया. हाँ, हाँ,
पर
हाँ.
ऐसा प्रिया आपका क्या ख्याल है? आपके साथ ऐसा कुछ हुआ है कि आपके लिए भी एकदम ऑर्गेनिक रहा है?
It has been organic, but I think memorable wise, अगर मैं देखूं, तो my first theatrical will always be very special, and that was Bolt. It happened when I was still in school. I was in fact preparing for my boards. अगले ही जिस दिन मैं recording कर रही थी, उसके अगले ही दिन मेरी recording थी. And I had to give my board exams, and I was recording, and I didn't know how it's going to happen, but it turned out really well. And everyone, of course, because the character was also in a way very close to my name. It was Pia. Everyone started in a way understanding कि okay, there's so much more to voicing than just doing mimicry, because तब तक वही notion था that okay, voicing is all about taking some character voices and just mimicking it out या बच्चों की आवाज निकालना. But this was like, okay, so you have actually voiced for someone who is also a kid. And that time Miley Cyrus was a teen, she had dubbed for the original voice, so I had to be close to that character. So in a way, Bolt really changed my perception as well as my stand as such in the industry. And uske baad, I would say, of course, the most special one has been Marvel, because when I did Black Panther, little did I know Shuri would go on to become Black Panther. वो तो पूरा मतलब बोलते हैं ना, एक पूरा 360 degree turn हो गया मेरे लिए तो, in a way. So that was really special. I really grew as a person and as a voice artist there.
Wonderful, fantastic. Tanya, I noticed that you have a home studio, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
You have a home setup. So why don't you take us through, how what kind of a setup do you have, and did you set this up during the pandemic? And how is it? Do you record a lot from your home studio? I think it would be a great thing for everyone to know what kind of challenges do you face, or what how would you view having a home studio?
Yeah. So for me, it was a very, like even today when a lot of people come up to me and saying, I want to do this. And I say, hold up, don't blow up your money on buying expensive mics and stuff like that. So for me, when I started, literally it was, as I said, it's been such a long journey, and I was doing work for like peanuts, in the voiceover field. So I used to take like literally like, smartphones. I would go to like a corner of a cupboard, record a scratch on my recording app. Once I would back the project, I would go book a studio. You pay like 1,000 to 1,500 rupees for an hour, and it was I was doing all that work. And I feel like for any profession, when you come from like a middle class background, you also want to be sure. You just don't want to set up this entire fancy gear and stuff like that. First, make sure, are you getting the kind of returns? Are you doing well? It's not just ki tumhe laga tum best ho and you're going. So I was waiting that once I was able to see that it's doing well and I'm appreciated for what I'm doing, I'm getting good amount of work, then I felt that okay, it'll be more feasible for me to set up a home studio setup, invest in a good quality mic. And again, I think when it comes to tech and mic, I feel like whatever people can do within their budget, you don't have to have, as I said, some of the, you go to the smallest studios or you go to the biggest studios. The idea is that what can you do within your own budget? Because the most important thing for people to understand is that this industry that we're in, the freelance work industry, no 2 months are the same. So, we all have an off season, on season, and that's how actually I got into voiceovers. Because, when I was singing, I realized that I can't keep singing every month, because I'm not a Bollywood singer, I'm not a playback singer. I was just doing like, I was an indie, underground singer. So for me, there's an off season, on season. So then I realized that what else can I do with a microphone? So that's when voiceovers really kicked in. So I took a very practical approach. So I have I've soundproofed my place, have my mic, my sound card, whatever software comes to you, Ableton, FL Studio. Started off with using Audacity because it was a free software. So I really sort of studied the craft on my own, figured out what worked well. And that's what I always tell every beginner. Please don't go busting up your money on, because people keep messaging me, ma'am, what mic are you using? And I said, why? Are you getting projects first? First tell me, because people just want to blow up money. Then what happens is with this, a lot of disappointment comes. And we've seen that, today we've seen that not everybody is going to be, the next big thing. So you have to take your time. You have to see that you're getting that kind of returns and then set up your home studio. So I set up my home studio after maybe 5-6 years of hustling in the industry. And here, I'm not even in Bombay, as I said, I'm in Delhi. So the work is, if it's 100% Bombay, it's like 60% here, and I don't, so here we get more digital ads and more, so I haven't done theatricals. I haven't done like dubbing, all of that work, very few, but mostly what I get is more corporate work, ads, show reels, that kind of stuff. So for me, it's been a very organic way to set up a home studio. And that's what I tell people, to take their time and, then see what allows within their budget and then sort of make you think you want to have like a multi-screen setup. Go for it once you have the kind of budget.
Yeah, go slow, go easy, go organic.
Exactly.
Take your time and don't jump into. But on the home studio thing, Anamai, I want to ask you something. I know home studio आजकल बहुत लोग सेटअप कर रहे हैं, पर डबिंग में तो होम स्टूडियो में ज्यादा काम, डबिंग में पैंडेमिक के दौरान तो हुआ था, पर अब एवरीवन हैज गॉन बैक टू द, तो एक बड़ा फर्क अगर मैं पूछूं, क्योंकि 2 साल पहले हम सब ने, जो लोग डब करते हैं, उन्होंने घर से डबिंग भी की है और बाकायदा लंबे अरसे तक की है, एंड नाउ एवरीवन इज बैक इन द स्टूडियो. तो पहले के मुकाबले अब नाउ दैट यू आर इन द स्टूडियो अगेन, क्या फर्क है? क्या आपको लगता है कि नहीं डबिंग जैसा जो क्राफ्ट है वो होम स्टूडियो से होना चाहिए या आसानी से हो जाना चाहिए, और वुड यू रेकमेंड कि वो स्टूडियो में ही जाके करना चाहिए, एंड व्हाई?
कपल ऑफ डिफरेंसेस तो आए. पहला तो हुआ कि हमें स्क्रिप्ट मिलती थी स्टूडियोज में, तो अब हमें टैब पे स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ने की आदत है, तो वी हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ मार्किंग द डायलॉग्स, पॉजेस एंड एवरीथिंग. तो वो एक इशू होती थी शुरू में, तो वो एक डिफरेंस आया कि अब हमें स्टूडियोज में टैब मिलते हैं तो हमें टेंशन नहीं होता, मार्किंग आती है. बट द लिबर्टी ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस जो है ना, यू विल गेट इट इन स्टूडियो. मेरे हिसाब से घर से तो कर रहा था, इट वाज हैपनिंग बिकॉज मजबूरी थी, वी हैड टू डू इट, वी डिडंट हैव एनी ऑप्शन. बट हाँ, मजा स्टूडियो में ही आता है बिकॉज यू गेट दैट टेक्निकल सपोर्ट. मुझे नियंडो सीखना पड़ा. And I was the recordist also, I was the director also, I was doing everything. So it was a challenging thing. I do enjoy it a lot, but if you'll ask me कि studio or home studio or a studio, I would say studio में, मतलब main setup में बहुत फर्क होता है. You get the technical support, you get a director, you get lots of things जहाँ आप अपने performance को best दे सकते हो. घर में मुझे लगता है बहुत limitations.
Yeah, because you're constantly
आप अपने comfort zone में होते हो.
Yeah, because there's also like things like you're focusing on the screen, whether you focus, and there's like edit karo, isko ye karo. Oh my God, it was a task.
But I'll also like to add to this, what they're saying. Again, I feel this is for me, as I said, not being from Bombay, I find this like a very city-wise thing, because the kind of work that I get, the clients want to save on that studio cost, right? But when it's so they want to save, and because then they don't want to go to the, because in Bombay what happens, what I've heard is that people just are called, acha 12 baje raat ko studio mein aa jao, ye hai. In Delhi we don't have that. As I said, here like Zomato or Mama Earth will send me a project and they said, acha you have your own setup, acha wahi se kar lo, let's save on that. So because again, it depends on the genre of kind of the voiceovers, but I always tell the client that if it's a big project, I feel that a studio, because as he said, studio is like your place, it's your temple, which nothing can beat. So if a client is willing to spend on that, then let's do that, because that's the top A grade quality you'll get.
Also, I feel certain genres, sorry, I'm so sorry. I just felt like certain genres do demand certain communication with the directors and the producers. If you have that, it just makes the entire experience, it takes it to the next level, because their inputs and that communication can really help you. When you do it virtually, it used to just be very difficult to communicate with your team
Yeah.
also.
I used to say, please, no, let's book a studio. I will book the studio, but I cannot have these 10 faces on the screen watching me like this, because it just kills the whole vibe. I said, let's book a studio. Aapko puri family leke aana hai, we'll go to the studio and block it. But these faces just staring, then somebody will raise their hand. Can you redo this line? I'm not like, this is too messy. Like, let's go to a studio.
Correct.
Yeah, but on this note, just trying to add on to this of having people staring at you. So I want to continue this कि why I feel अगर आप ये काम शुरुआत कर रहे हैं इस काम की, तो मुझे क्यों लगता है कि आपको स्टूडियो का एक्सपीरियंस होना जरूरी है. जैसे प्रिया, आप इतने कम उम्र से आप ये काम कर रहे हो, तब तो इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं थी, तब तो ऑनलाइन कुछ नहीं होता था. सो आपका जो ग्राउंडिंग हुई है, आपका जो फाउंडेशन है, that foundation has been laid on working around people in a studio. That foundation has been laid, all of us for that matter. हम सब ने बहुत, I think निष्का probably हाल ही में आई है in terms of the, हम अगर experience की बात करें, तो हम सब ने जब शुरुआत की थी, तो हमारी जो नींव है वो स्टूडियो के माहौल में with strangers judging you and with that nervous energy. So what it does is it sets you up, it makes you strong. But and after that, obviously you're free to have your own setup, and you because आपकी पकड़ आ गई है, you know how to handle, you know how to be a bunch of nerves and still do a job. But मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर आप आज काम शुरू कर रहे हो, and if you directly get into having your own studio and setup, then you are getting too comfortable, in the confines of your own home, जहाँ पर आपको कोई जज नहीं कर रहा है, जहाँ पर आप कितनी बार भी टेक दे दें. तो ये भी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट बात है कि जब आप किसी स्टूडियो में जाते हो, तो आप दुनिया को फेस करना सीखते हो.
It's also like when we perform on stage in front of an audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of a music video, you put out a music video and you're like, "Haan, acha ho gaya." But when you do the same song live in front of an audience, you see that reaction. And this is an industry where we get a lot of inputs. There's the agency, the director, the producer. Everybody has their own input. Everything gets twisted. Conversational chahiye, nahi, ye classy chahiye, aise chahiye, ye chahiye. We want the texture like this. So there's so many inputs which a studio, that, as you said, that experience is very important to make you understand what you're doing, your craft, and it helps you hone those skills then.
Yes,
absolutely. So you were talking about, Tanya, sometime back you were speaking about all of us being freelance artists. Absolutely. And no 2 months are the same. I think no 2 days are the same, literally. तो ऐसे में एक बहुत important point आता है. There are times when you have a rough patch or you have lull in your work, and insecurity seeps in. You see people around you doing better, doing far more work and getting projects which you think you should have got. So ऐसे में, let me start with Nishka. How do you handle as an individual, as a professional, especially since you are a freelance artist? How do you handle emotionally that insecurity wala patch?
So initially, it used to feel a bit, okay, am I not performing well? Am I not working well? What's the problem? Why is this happening? But slowly and gradually, you realize it's not you. That project was not meant for you. It's okay. I mean, you'll get more things. I mean, if that was meant for you, it would come to you, because there's probably something better. And I'm sure, I mean, that's always happened to me. If I've lost one project but that I really, really wanted, immediately after like 3 days, I have had a better opportunity. And I'm like, if I would be stuck with that, I wouldn't be able to do this. So it always comes to you. What has to come to you comes to you. You don't have to feel bad at all. And you don't have to get like disheartened, because it's fine. You're learning, you're still growing. There's a lot more to learn. So, I mean, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a very mature and a very spiritual way to look at it, because otherwise, it's going to beat you down every day. Because,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if that beats you down, what you already have, you won't be able to perform well with what you have, because you'll constantly be thinking ki, I wish meko wo mil gaya hota, I wanted to do that. And then you won't be able to focus on what you actually have. So, yeah, I think.
That's true. That's true. Uh, if I ask some of you, if you had to start today, let's start with Anamaya. If you had to start today, uh, pursuing being a voice artist, what would you do? Would you train first? Would you get some training if you did not have any idea about the craft? Or would you directly try and get some practical experience? What would you work on?
Honestly speaking, I would like to train myself first because see, what we do apart from voiceover, when we perform, when we dub, we actually act in front of mic. There's no camera, but mic is there, and you're acting, you're emoting, you're doing almost same thing which the character is doing on the screen. So for me, I must have joined a theater or somewhere where I can get to learn more about the craft, about the emoting things and acting, and at the same time training for the languages also. I mean, I would love to train first. I'd like to train first myself a bit, and then I'll go simultaneously to the studios and start my struggle. So obviously
ठीक है.
पहले तो ट्रेन करूंगा, थोड़ा तो जो भी
Well,
समझ में आए या नॉलेजेबल लोगों से मिलूंगा, कैसे करूं, हाउ टू गो अबाउट इट एंड द थिंग्स लाइक दैट. बट अनलेस अंटिल यू
that's
ट्रेन
interesting.
योरसेल्फ अ बिट, यू शुड नॉट गो.
हाँ, ये
मतलब
बहुत जरूरी बात बोली
हाँ
अनमया, क्योंकि आजकल जैसा तानिया भी कह रही थी, और आजकल हम सबको कई लोग हर अगले दिन मिलते हैं, एंड लाइक यू राइटली सेड तानिया, टुडे एवरीवन वांट्स टू बी अ वॉइस ओवर आर्टिस्ट, क्योंकि इट सीम्स सो इजी, इट्स जस्ट अबाउट स्पीकिंग, नो. And I often ask people when I'm talking about the craft in any forum, I always ask how many people in this room know anyone who gets paid to act with his or her voice. Usually not one hand is raised. और अगर कोई एक हाथ उठता भी है तो वो इसलिए क्योंकि अच्छा मेरी फ्रेंड या मेरे भाई का कोई फ्रेंड है जो एक कहीं पर कोई आरजे है. So I tell them, if it was so easy, everyone would be doing it. क्योंकि when I ask कि how many of you know a doctor or a computer engineer, तो बहुत हाथ उठ जाते हैं. So कहीं ना कहीं it also tells you that it is not so easy, and like any other professional craft, like Anamaya rightly said, you need to train for it.
correct.
तो ट्रेनिंग बहुत जरूरी है, but at the same time किसी भी तरह की ट्रेनिंग can only be a means to an end. It is not the end. तो ये भी बड़ा चक्कर है. प्रिया, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं ट्रेनिंग के बारे में, तो एक काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट ये भी होता है कि हाउ डू यू, ट्रेनिंग से क्या होगा, क्योंकि यू नीड टू हैव अ फ्लेयर फॉर, यू नीड टू हैव इट इन यू जस्ट टू प्ले द डेविल्स एडवोकेट.
yes
सो व्हाट वुड यू से?
I would say it's a mix of both. There is a balance that you require. It cannot be like, I've seen the best of people, they can train themselves, they can come from the best acting institutes. But first, if they don't have the flair for it, if they're not passionate enough for the job, and additionally, of course, if they don't push themselves to keep growing and getting a lot of learnings done on the job, then they'll go nowhere. Like I've seen the best of people around me who have done that. They feel like, acha, chalo ek training course kar lete from the best of the institutes, and you can get there. But that's really not true. You really have to
Absolutely.
work your way up there, work hard, be passionate, and of course, I feel personally patience is extremely important. You can get your skills in place, you can get everything in place, but if you don't have patience and if you're not focused enough at what you're doing, then it's all going to go for a waste. So it's a balance of both for sure in the long run. If you want to sustain in this industry, it has to be a good blend of everything, and yes, keep learning every single day.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a very valid point, that it is a balance. I always maintain that you need to have a flair. You need to have a flair, and you have to also train, and you need to give it time. So that's very important. Tanya, if I ask you, आप दिल्ली में हैं और आपका काफी काम ऐसा होता है जो, जैसा आपने कहा कि रिमोट पे काम होता है. You have clients connecting with you, and so which is a very different, वो एक अलग segment हो गया है. और एक सेगमेंट है मेन स्ट्रीम जो बम्बई में होता है, मुंबई में होता है, जहाँ पर you're visiting studios and there is a more real interaction. So if I ask you, what are your views about how the industry is in terms of what challenges do you feel today as an artist? If you can share that, a lot of people who are watching this who are professional artists, they might, it might be good information for everyone.
So see, I think for me, as I said, I come from a very different part of. As I said, the voiceover industry is a huge world. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
not just about having a good voice. You identify your good voice fits where. Do you fit more in dubbing? Like Priya said, you have to have this blend. It's talent. It's about training. I mean, it's like how we take, let's say, take nepo Bollywood actors, right? Nepo kids. Not everybody, just because you have a famous dad or a famous mom as an actress, not everybody has those talent, those acting chops, right? You need that sort of
Yeah.
flair, but also you need to keep learning on the job. So for me, for being here, of course, not being in Bombay is a challenge because you lose out on a bunch of work. There's a lot of things which I feel like I would be getting a lot of work if I was positioned in Bombay. So definitely place wise, there is a huge thing. There have been times where clients have the bigger the budgets, they've flown me down to Bombay for work and stuff like that. But again, so I feel that location wise, it is a challenge. But I was also so determined, like being in the entertainment industry, talent, everything comes second. The first thing you need to be is very, very thick skinned. If you can't accept rejection, you can't take the highs
Absolutely.
and lows, you don't be a part of the industry. Please pack your bags, go find a nice 9 to 5 job, because this is not for the faint hearted. So you get, I mean, there's so many times when I feel like, oh, I was like, I see this ad and I'm just like, I could have done a better job, but like, there are things that I lose out on. So of course,
Yeah.
working remote and away from the Bollywood section, is I lose out a lot of projects because I'm not stationed there. And then also, I think challenges you face more in terms of when you're not dealing directly, when the middlemen come in and give the briefs. So those also a lot of challenges you face, because the briefing changes, the projects get extra long, you want to try and take up more work. And as I said, the freelance industry, no 2 days are the same, so you're always like left wondering. And that's why I have to have, as an artist, as a freelance artist, I have to have multiple sources of income, because you never know what the next day looks like. Am I getting projects? And I know, like this time, like last time, when I was being wheeled into the hospital, my first pregnancy, I was getting client calls, and I did take up my voiceover work 5 days after delivering my baby, because I just
Wow.
had to. Yeah, I was like, because I love my work, so I put my baby
Yeah.
to nap and then I took up work, because also you're so passionate about it. So as I said, that the challenge of not knowing what the next day looks like, that is the biggest challenge I feel. And then for me, it's of course not being in the hub of the industry and being away from it. That is there,
Splendid.
so I do lose out
Yeah.
a lot of work on that. But I've made peace with it, and I've figured out what my core strength is, and I try and focus more on that. So whether it's e-learning, and now I do a lot of like meditation videos and corporate show reels and stuff. So I figured out what client base is easily accessible for me. And that's the whole thing about being in a freelance space. You figure out what works for you, what doesn't. So either I make the big transition of moving to Bombay,
Yeah.
or I figure out what tables do I turn to make stuff work for me from here.
Right. I quite liked what you said, because it's funny that it is a blessing and it is also a curse. You said that the biggest challenge is not knowing what the next day looks like. And
Yeah.
it is also the biggest blessing, and that keeps us so alive as artists, that we do not know what the next day looks like. No two
It's
days
a
have the
different
same
kind of
script.
high. Yeah, it's a rush you get.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
It's a
all of
rush.
us here are ready to like. I've given up. I've said no. I've probably lost a couple of friends down the lane because I'm just like, I have to work. I have to submit this project. I have these deadlines and I have these timelines. It's just that you and that microphone, that synergy, which is why some people make it and some people don't, because that passion. I think all the people present here have that passion, and that's why we're here, because we're
Correct.
trying to show that it's not just about आवाज अच्छी है, we don't know, कल maybe some new
Yeah,
voiceover artists come, we'll all get replaced. Everybody is replaceable. I think
absolutely.
first get that feeling out of your
Absolutely.
head.
So true.
And
Exactly.
this and there's no
बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल.
certainty even in jobs today. Like suddenly you could be in a 9 to 5, you have a secure job, you're fired. There's no guarantee in any place. So I think do it with all your heart, and be practical about it. And because challenges keep coming every day, there's a new challenge. I mean, COVID, everybody was like, okay, I can't get a studio. So people who didn't have a home set up were like, oh no, now they had to invest
Mhm.
in a setup. So challenges come, and you just have to be prepared. So thick skinned, I think, is the number one thing to be,
या
to
या
survive in this
एब्सोल्युटली
industry.
मुझे
That's true.
थोड़ा थोड़ा ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं मिरर से बात कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ये सारी चीजें बड़ी रेजोनेट कर रही हैं। प्रेगनेंसी के बाद, डिलीवर करने के बाद रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया मैंने, उतना ही फर्क है फॉर ऑब्वियस रीजंस। उसके अलावा लाइफ की कोई ट्रेजेडी नहीं है, लाइफ का कोई अच्छा इवेंट नहीं है,
Yeah.
या कोई दुनिया का कोई कोना नहीं है। जहां पर मैं हूं और जहां से रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया, रात का कोई वक्त नहीं है, और जब यूएस में होता हूं तो वहां पर रात को, हर रोज रात को जगना पड़ता है, क्योंकि ये जैसा आपने कहा
You
एक
never
पैशन
know.
है, यू डूइंग
Yeah.
इट बिकॉज यू, this is what I've done all life, or it's something that you wake up to every day, looking forward to it. So that's amazing. बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, और लोग भी बड़े अच्छे comments कर रहे हैं. Tanya, people are really appreciating this passion. Somebody asked Tanya to recommend a few studios in Delhi. कोई नाम हो तो बता दो यार.
Oh, my favorite is Ferris Wheel Studios, which is actually in Gurgaon. It's a beautiful studio, fantastic. And then there's Meraki Studios, and as I said, that since I'm more of a home girl setup, but yeah, these two studios are my current favorite, Ferris Wheel and Meraki.
इस मामले में हम थोड़े अलग हैं. आपसे स्टूडियोज के बारे में पूछ सकते हैं, और मुझसे दुनिया की किसी भी शहर में कैफेज के बारे में पूछ सकते हैं. चलिए, तो निष्का, आई वांट टू आस्क यू कि आपके बड़े फैन हैं, पर आप किसकी फैन हैं? विच आर्टिस्ट और विच वॉइस आर्टिस्ट डू यू लुक अप टू कि यार, आए यार, काश ये आवाज मेरी होती?
Oh my God.
आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी फ्लैटरिंग फॉर whoever. बाकी लोग भी याद कर लो, क्योंकि मैं पूछने वाला हूँ सबसे.
You'll come
Take
back
my
to me after you ask them, or let me also think.
चलो ठीक है. Anamaya, you tell me.
No. I
Which
don't.
male voice are you a fan of? यार, किसके फैन हो आप? बहुत.
मैं फैन वॉइस से ज्यादा परफॉर्मेंस का हूँ. कुछ सीनियर
हाँ, I meant an artist. Which artist?
Mostly I like Anil Dutt sir's work, the way he performs. Anil sir.
अरे, absolutely.
Vinod Sharma, Mausam. I mean, the way they craft the character, they conceive the character, and when they perform, it's like वो चिपक के जाते हैं उसमें. तो आई यूजुअली वो कभी भी मैं डब पे गया, दे आर डबिंग ना, मैं देखता रहता हूँ कैसे कर रहे हैं वो कैरेक्टर को, कैसे लेके जा रहे हैं. तो मैं चोरी करने की कोशिश करता हूँ, उनसे कुछ सीखने की कोशिश करता हूँ. है तो और भी बहुत, लेकिन ये मेरे मतलब बहुत पसंद करता हूँ.
Which is fantastic, and obviously these are great artists. अनिल दत्त का तो मैं खैर बहुत पर्सनली बहुत मुरीद हूँ, बहुत फैन हूँ. और what about you, Priya?
Okay, this is quite tough, to be very, very honest. Not at the risk of sounding very diplomatic or whatever, since this is voice industry that we are talking about.
Say मैं अपनी favorite हूँ, मुझसे बेहतर कोई है नहीं उसमें.
I'm not. No,
Like Mr. Shah Rukh Khan says that I'm the best.
I'm the best.
I wish I could have said that, but no. There is just one voice that has inspired me since childhood. It's not really a voice actor, I can say, but if you're talking about the voice, the one man I look up to is Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. The reason, I mean, you may think it's cliche, it's diplomatic or whatever. The fact that his career started at a juncture where he faced rejections. He was rejected for having a very heavy voice. And today that voice is global. I mean, we all look up to him. He's so inspiring, and he's faced so many ups and downs. And it's just the baritone, it's the voice, the way he functions, the amount of 100% or 200% that he gives into his work. I've been blessed to see how he works behind the scenes a couple of times, and I feel so inspired. There's always so much to take away. He's 81 or 82 if I'm not wrong, and even if at that age I can continue doing what he does or be even 1% passionate about my work, I'll be blessed. I mean, I just keep looking up to him for that passion that he has for his craft.
The best part about your answer is, although ये Miss World वाला answer है, पर सही है.
I mean, that is it's an honest answer. मैं सब जगह यही बोलती हूँ because it's so inspiring. अब क्या कर सकते हैं?
Anybody can relate.
What about you? What about you, Tanya? Whom do you look up to as a voice?
So for me, when I've always been, drawn to very deep, textured, husky, gritty voices, because I feel like that's what it's like you try to see yourself in something, and for me it was when I heard Richa Nigam in the Daag Achhe Hain, that just that line, that just drew me. I was so blown away. I remember I did my research of I want to see who's this artist, what is that voice was so beautiful to me, and for me it was because I've always been told, even as a singer, that, oh, it's a too deep voice, or this husky, it's not, I don't have I can't reach the highs, and I don't have that high pitched, and so my voice is very different. So for me, I found myself in her voice, and I really like that. I was really drawn to that. And that's when I was like, I was more determined. I was like, okay, if this can do it, I want to be like that.
How lovely. Richa is the dear friend. I will tell her
Yes,
that
I'm a big
you're a big fan
fan.
of Richa. Kaun nahi hai? So all of us are big fans of Richa. So I will definitely convey
Yes.
your love to her for sure. तो निष्का अब नंबर तो आ गया.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still thinking, but I just remembered. So when I had started off dubbing, everybody used to tell me that I sound like Urvi. And do you remember Urvi Asher?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure
Of
you guys.
course.
Yeah. So now she's in Australia. So now I haven't like
Just
heard her in
yesterday,
the.
Sanket was remembering her in a session last evening. Sanket was
Oh,
remembering Urvi that he really misses
oh.
working with her. Yeah,
Yeah, I miss working with her because I used to direct her when she used to come as an artist, and I used to really look up to her work. And I think I don't know how, but it sounds similar. And like maybe I just heard her too much, तो वो शायद मेरे में उसकी उनकी वो छोटी छोटी nuances like I've picked up, but I don't know. Like Urvi, even Malvika, I love Malvika's voice. So
of
yeah, I
course,
think
Malvika Shivpuri. Absolutely,
yes,
she's a
I
Very
fantastic performer.
yes, yeah. So I think those are the kind of performers I really look up to. Like, as I grow older, I want to sound like them.
Now, look, that's the beauty about a voice, no? That we age like
Yeah,
fine wine, and
exactly.
किसी ने नेपो आई थिंक आप में से किसी ने नेपोटिज्म नेपो की बात की थी तो वन गुड थिंग अबाउट आवर इंडस्ट्री इज कि यहाँ इवन नेपोटिज्म कैन ओनली गेट यू टू द माइक उसके आगे तो आप ही को करना है
परफॉर्म करना
उसके आगे
होता
आप
Correct.
किसी की भी भाई भतीजे
Exactly.
हो
नहीं.
कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है so
Yeah.
which is amazing about जाते जाते I think we will wrap up this session क्योंकि इसके बाद we have another lovely session with Adarsh Gaurav the popular actor and TJ Bhanu and Ashwini Kulkarni from Netflix and Mona Shetty they'll be talking about the craft so जाते जाते मुझे एक I just need one word about what do you love most about this craft? One word, two words, basically one thing you tell me. Why don't we start with Tanya?
I get to be a new character every day.
Splendid, lovely,
Yes,
beautiful.
exactly.
Very well said. New character every day. Because even if you're doing a voiceover, whether it's for Zomato or Mama Earth, finally even a voiceover is a character. He or she is the guy who's stringing the story together and finally making new character every day. What about you, Priya? आपका क्या ख्याल है?
I think there's a takeaway from every personality or character that you portray on screen, and that's a huge learning every single day behind the mic. There's a
Wow,
takeaway from each
interesting.
character.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
Anamaya, what about you?
Living different characters as they have said, and एक कैरेक्टर जो बन चुका है उसको अपनी जान देके उसको एक नई चीज जस्ट क्रिएटिंग समथिंग न्यू दैट इज द थिंग फॉर मी
इंटरेस्टिंग
तो
दैट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्योंकि ये बात सच है अनमया कि आप शब्दों से ही आप नए नए किरदार बुनते हैं स्पेशली जब आप एनिमेशन के कई ऐसी सीरीज हैं जहां पर ओरिजिनल में कोई वॉइस ही नहीं है
हाँ
एंड आई थिंक
you have
इवन
to create
ऑगी एंड द कॉकरोचेस इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग एंड मेनी
exactly
अदर्स राइट
exactly
हाँ तो विच इज
you
अमेजिंग
live that
एब्सोल्युटली
character you live that character
बिल्कुल
which is not there which is not वो साउंड नहीं कर रहा है and you are creating the sound
साउंडिंग
so
you're
it's very
creating the sound
yeah,
absolutely that's almost magical that is absolutely magical
magical मजा आता है I tell you
Nishka what
मजा
about you
I think Priya and Anamay and Tanya said everything. I mean, I'll take from everyone. But yeah, I have the freedom to do whatever I want every day. I have the freedom to create a new character, even if I am watching the character, I know how to perform, but I can always do justice to that character with my voice because that's what's going to be heard. So yeah,
absolutely
it's
तो आप चारों ने जो है पहले खाली प्रिया ने दिया था भाई आप चारों ने मिस वर्ल्ड वाला आंसर दिया है और किसी ने भी ये नहीं कहा
You're still
दैट यू गेट
sticking to
पेड
that Miss
सो
World thing.
किसी ने भी ये जवाब नहीं दिया दैट यू गेट पेड सो ब्लडी वेल इट इज सो
oh yeah.
रिवॉर्डिंग
No,
यू
no,
गेटिंग
no,
That's
no,
the
पेड
no.
टू
biggest
स्पीक
pro. I didn't want to
We
sound. I
forgot
didn't want to
about
sound
that.
like a. I didn't want to sound like a typical Delhi wala. But earning per second, I'm trying to teach my. I tell my daughter. I said, doctor engineer to theek hai, but here you earn per second. Get on this track.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Good one.
actually sorry me too
बिल्कुल मुझे लगा चलिए बड़ा अच्छा लगा आई थिंक it's almost an hour
Or this has been so lovely. It was almost like five friends talking.
Yeah.
And I want to say a big thank you to all four of you for joining in today and for making India Voice Fest a part of your life. And I hope आप सब 17 तारीख को, क्योंकि तानिया तो नहीं आ रही मैं जानता हूँ, but I hope Nishka, Priya and Anamaya, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the 17th. Keep your red carpet लुक रेडी प्लीज. अभी हार्डली टाइम बचा है. अगर
Yeah.
आपने अभी तक डिसाइड नहीं किया है तो यू स्टिल हैव टुनाइट टू डिसाइड. And it's going to be a mad gala event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. 3 to 7 is when we have the grand finale and the award ceremony. We have some very, very interesting personalities joining us. Some surprises, and uske baad mein, we have a beautiful social networking party and dinner. So it's going to be one big get together of the entire industry, and I'm looking forward to see all of you. We've put in a lot of work to put this together, and we'd love to see all of you there and enjoy. So thank you so much, Tanya, Priya, Nishka, and Anamaya. बहुत shukriya, and I'll see you soon. And thank you once again, and have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
And good
It
luck
was
with
nice meeting
17.
you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was a beautiful session, the voice actors round table with these beautiful, lovely voice artists. तो आज की शाम की शुरुआत बहुत ही खूबसूरत हुई है, और अगर आगाज इतना अच्छा हुआ है तो अगला कदम भी बहुत खूबसूरत होगा. जैसा कि मैंने कहा कि अब से कुछ ही देर में, कुछ ही मिनटों में, क्योंकि हम कुछ 1-2 मिनट का ब्रेक लेंगे टू प्ले सम प्रोमोज अबाउट इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट एंड टू इंट्रोड्यूस द नेक्स्ट सेशन. उसके बाद आएंगे हमारे अगले सेशन के स्पीकर्स, जैसा मैंने बताया, मोना शेट्टी, आदर्श गौरव, टीजे भानु एंड अश्विनी कुलकर्णी विद द सेशन कॉल्ड एस द डबिंग गेम. खैर, आप लोग रुकिए, कहीं मत जाइए और हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए. और अगर आपने अभी तक 17 तारीख का डेलीगेट पास नहीं लिया है तो ये QR कोड है, आप इसको स्कैन करके अभी अपना डेलीगेट पास ले सकते हैं. एंड आई विल सी यू इन जस्ट अ मिनट. Hello, 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 and a very warm welcome to India Voice Fest 2023. Today is day 8 of this grand 10-day voice industry ka festival. Ji haan, this is India's first and only and biggest and most loved voiceover and dubbing industry conference and awards platform, where hundreds of voice industry professionals get together, exchange ideas, network, and celebrate the craft and the people who weave magic with their voices. India Voice Fest सिर्फ एक इवेंट नहीं है, ये इंडिया की वॉइस ओवर और डबिंग इंडस्ट्री की प्रतिभा को दर्शाने का एक बहुत खूबसूरत मंच है. और बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब हम देखते हैं कि हर साल सैकड़ों हजारों लोग इस मंच के साथ जुड़ते हैं. Before we move ahead and I introduce you to our distinguished speakers for today's session, let me quickly do a thank you to all our sponsors and partners who have helped us make this event possible. India Voice Fest 2023 is conceived and curated by yours truly, Darrpan Mehta, produced and organized by Sugar Mediaz. Our main sponsors are Sound and Vision Studios. Our associate sponsors are Audio Magic. Our industry partners are MnM Talkies, Gulmohar Media, G-Corp Media, and Aural Arts. And our proud supporters are Neshma Academy of Acting and Voice Acting, Surabhi, Javeri, Vyas, KRG Kreative Studio, and Skylink Freight Forwarders. और हमें सपोर्ट करते हैं वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के सैकड़ों हजारों प्रोफेशनल्स और वॉइस एक्टिंग के चाहने वाले. सो थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट. अब बढ़ते हैं आगे और मैं अब इनवाइट करना चाहूंगा हमारे आज के सेशन के, जैसा मैंने कहा, एब्सोल्युटली डिस्टिंग्विश्ड स्पीकर्स को. आज के इस सेशन का नाम है एस द डबिंग गेम. And we are absolutely delighted, honored, and privileged to have four fantastic, talented individuals from different segments of the industry to come and share their insights and experiences. Can we have all four speakers on the screen so that I can formally introduce them? Thank you very much. We have Mona Shetty, President of Sound and Vision Studios, who is going to lead and moderate the session as well. We have Ashwini Kulkarni, who is the country head of international dubbing for Netflix India. We are delighted to have TJ Bhanu and Adarsh Gaurav, two very popular faces who are loved by millions of viewers and who are here today, not just in their capacity as actors, but also to discuss the magic of the spoken voice, to discuss their work as voice actors for the work that they've done for the screen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in.
Thanks, Radhapan.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Lovely. So I am looking forward to a very interesting and engaging session. Mona, over to you. I will probably join you guys at the end of the session. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. So, hi guys. I've wanted to do this forever, like bring on actors who've actually voiced for themselves in other languages, and also actors who have voiced for other actors, just to get their perspective on, because, you haven't come to the industry as a voice actor. You've come to the industry as an on-screen actor. And, then to suddenly be doing something which is so highly specialized, which has a slightly different focus, what that means for you. And especially for someone like Netflix, Ashwini, you can give us that perspective that, when you guys have so many originals and you're putting them out in so many languages for, a larger audience to be able to enjoy, what it means for you to really have the original actors on board, and, what that means for you, both in terms of the creative quality, retaining the essence of the original, as well as also from the marketing perspective. I'm sure your teams must be very happy about that.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched upon, a lot of the things that I would have kind of spoken about. But first of all, kudos to you for bringing this panel together. I know it's happened super last minute. And
I have to say thank you to Adarsh and Bhanu for even accepting at such short notice. It's so sweet of them that, once they were asked once and they said yes straight away at very short notice. And that's really, really sweet of you. Thank you so much.
Anything for you, man.
Yeah.
No, and I was sharing how Bhanu actually got on board, where we were literally like next to each other at a cafe, and I didn't even know it was her. And we happened to get talking, and I said, you know what, this is something that's coming up. Would you like to be part of it? And 3 days back, she was like, yes. We had such a long conversation on dubbing and voicing and, her acting interests and all of that. And I was like, you just need to come on this panel and speak about it.
Interestingly, that's exactly what happened with Adarsh and myself, is that we bumped into each other at the Archie's premiere. And I said, hey, are you around this week? And he said, yeah, I'm around. I'm promoting my next film. So I said, I would like to do a session. Would you mind coming on? And he said, yeah, okay, sure. If time permits, I'd love to be on. So thank you so much, guys. Super.
I'm excited to be here.
before I get on to my response, I have to say, please watch out for Adarsh in Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. We should do a shameless plug-in, right? 26 December on Netflix.
Big
Uh, just at the beginning.
I
First,
am already here rooting for him.
yeah,
Yes,
मैंने
thank you.
पर्सनल पीआर कर दिया है अपनी तरफ से, अब मुझे ऐसे देखना है बड़े टीवी पे।
I'm
Okay,
wearing
but
really nice fancy clothes and I'm showing off my abs for the first time. So please go watch it.
just for that.
he's fabulous, but I want to say.
And
And
for
also
that,
coming,
how many times you have looked at pizza with lustful eyes? We have seen all of it.
But yeah, before we move on to what's coming up next, I want to just rewind a little bit and go back to the project that brought all of us together, which was Guns and Gulabs. It was one of a kind in terms of the whole retro feel, the whole movie masala that it brought to the screen, and also the fact that Netflix went ahead and dubbed it in so many languages. I mean, we ourselves did 5. I don't know how many more you did. But it was lovely to have a lot of the original actors come on board for the English version, for the Tamil version, for the Telugu version, for the Malayalam version, for the Kannada version. It was really, really lovely. And Ashwini, I have to thank you guys for, always leading from the front in terms of putting us in touch with the producers, ensuring that we have a connect with the actors well in advance. We can ask them would they like to do their own dubs. What is the thought behind always wanting the original actors back?
yeah, I think for us at Netflix, we're very clear that a good story can come from anywhere, and it should be enjoyed everywhere. And the good fortune that we have is that we're part of dubbing. We are able to bridge this language gap, and we have the ability to really tell the same story, the story that the creator wants to tell, in different languages. And I think that's pretty much the core of it. That's our North Star always. And our endeavor is really, how do we tell this story that the creator wants to tell in another language as authentically as possible. So I don't think it's a ground rule that we need to have the original actors every time, but I feel like we're in a country like India where we have such amazing pan regional casting in the original itself, that
Yeah.
each of us, as people who've been brought up in India or born in India, we are at least bilingual, if not
Yes.
multilingual. Each of us at
Yeah.
least speak two languages. And
Yeah.
the idea of really pushing for the original actors in certain, on certain shows, is to bring in a part of that creator, to bring in a part of the original creative team. Like, imagine, we don't get this on a Korean show. We don't get this while dubbing a Money Heist. It's almost a dream to know what's going on in the creator's mind. But in this case, we are so fortunate to be India that when we are dubbing, we're not just dubbing for global travelability, we're also dubbing for local travelability. We already have an existing fan base.
Yeah.
And you covered Guns and Gulabs, really come together. But I'll tell you, really, for us, where it kind of became a no-brainer was at the beginning of the year in Rana Naidu. When you have a top Telugu superstar cast in a Hindi show like Rana Naidu, it's a no-brainer that he has to dub his own Telugu, right? He also, Mr. Venkatesh Daggubati. So it came from them. And they were like, there's no way we're letting anyone else dub Telugu for us. And I think that it kind of, it's the show, it's what the show needs to be able to travel where we believe, it can travel. So, like I said, this panel itself, each of you, Bhanu, others, you come with your own audience, right? And it's the dubbed audience. The dub audience today is not the one that was forced to watch a dub. Everybody's choosing to watch that dub. And really, Mona, you and I have had this conversation, like, who is our audience? And
Yeah.
I think the more I try to simplify it, I'm like, it's the people who stick on. And then what are we doing in their service to make sure that they stick on? They're not too distracted by the dub, and they really get immersed in the story, versus saying, yeah, I know how this person sounds, they've not dubbed it well, or the voice is not matching. So I think it's our endeavor to make it as seamless experience as
Yeah.
possible, another language. And that's where I think, when you know that you have multi-lingual actors, multi-talented actors like Bhanu, others, you just have to milk it, right? You just have to make sure that it also shows in the dub, Because, and I'll go back to Rana Naidu. We actually did a premiere in Hyderabad in the Telugu, like with the Telugu dub. We didn't
Yeah.
use the Hindi original in Hyderabad when we did the premiere. So, I mean, it's just that when we talk about acing the dubbing game, I know it's a long way to go
Yeah.
to really make it sound like it was created in that language. But we're
Yeah.
getting there. And I think you guys play such an important part in just bringing yourselves, to it, the dubbing booth, giving our directors that much more perspective and saying, no, I didn't say it like that when I was shooting. And it kind of takes away.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. This is the conversation Adarsh and I were having when we were doing the script reading for White Tiger, right? And it actually came from the director that we wanted to connect with the creative team, and we wanted to discuss the script, and we wanted to discuss casting and various things. So it came from the team that Adarsh is there, and he can definitely help you out with the script because he knows the entire thought behind the film and everything. And there were so many times when others would tell us, this is what we were, because there's so many edits that happen, right, in a film. There's so much that was extended that doesn't actually make it to the film, that we get those little links from the original team. This was how this scene was intended, or this was why this scene was shot, and you're only seeing a part of it. So, Adarsh, how have you? I know we met over White Tiger, and then we got you to dub a bunch of other stuff for us. You did a couple of films
I
after that.
did I did John Constantine for Sandman, and then I did Free
Yes,
Guy.
you did Free
Uh,
Guy.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
how was it for you, this whole process of doing another language? First in White Tiger, it was from English to Hindi.
yeah,
Yeah, then the other films, it was English to Hindi. Now in Guns and Gulabs, it's Hindi to English.
yeah.
How? I mean, is this all messing with your head?
Um, Strangely, it doesn't actually, because I feel like, especially in White Tiger, so Balram is a character from the hinterland. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, of course, even in the book, he is somebody who is different from the rest of the village, and he does want to speak in English, and he learns English, and in terms of like his aspirations and ambitions, he's not like any other villager. Um, but it was very believable, obviously, that he would speak in Hindi most of the time. It wouldn't. It in fact, it was hard to believe that he was somebody who would speak in English to his, uh,
Yes.
to Ashok and to Pinky.
Much
But
like Slumdog Millionaire, Dev Patel's character, for example.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But so it was harder to believe that he speaks in English than he speaks in Hindi. So speaking in Hindi came very naturally to me.
Yes.
Um, and with Guns and Gulabs, I feel it was interesting because, again, I feel like in that world, Jugnu was the only character who was styled with some kind of Western sensibility,
Yes.
which was very interesting because he had like, the glasses that he wore, the fur coat that he was wearing. There was a lot of like Western sensibility in that. So again, like I feel like I sort of started picking from those kind of things, from those cues when it came to how I would sound when I would speak in English. The style of the character, the flamboyance of it, than anything else.
Right. But the
Yeah,
whole idea of performing exactly what you've done and matching it exactly in another language, how
yeah.
was that experience for you?
It's interesting, but I feel like when you already have like one language as a template, then
Yeah.
there's not much that you need to do. It's applying the same logic to the other language.
Right.
So for me, that doesn't feel very hard. I mean, of course, they're both very different languages, Hindi and English. The meter is very different, the rhythm is very different, and the way the same line will sound in both the languages can also be entirely different. It can be
Exactly.
shorter versus longer, and it could be all of those things. But to be very honest with you, I don't think of these things too much.
Do you
I'm not
find
think,
yourself performing differently in different languages? You find your
um
performance just naturally taking on a slightly different mood in another language, or taking on a slightly different style of performance?
I mean, unless I've been specifically instructed, I try not to do that. So if there's a spirit of the character that comes through in the Hindi, which is the original language, then I try to retain that even in the English part. Like I try to not copy it, but try to sort of borrow that essence into the other language.
Yes.
So I'm not. I don't know if it sounds any different. I'm sure it sounds different but I'm not sure if the character in itself changes when I'm dubbing in another language.
Right.
I don't think I'm a very good judge of that. But I'm just essentially trying to maintain the essence of the original language.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And Bhanu, this was a first for you, right? Doing, your original work in so many different languages. You did 3 languages, if I'm not mistaken.
4.
4 languages. Wow. Wow. So how was this experience for you? Was it a first?
I've done little bit in Forgotten Army earlier, but that was very small because it was in English and the whole thing was the character only speaks English and वो भी बहुत टूटी फूटी ऐसा कुछ. So then they didn't dub in another language, but like Hindi and little bit Tamil, whatever. But I have actually surprised. My first job in Bombay was dubbing for somebody, and very early days. Actually, I don't even remember. I think it was in somewhere nearby Infinity only, Lakshmi Industrial Estate mein kahin pe, but it was a serial. And the girl was really brilliant performance. I remember she was Bengali and it was this really big serial. And it was that serial's first trailer or promo that was coming. And Jai Prakash Chokse, if you know that, the really great writer, used to write about films and all, I met him. And then he kind of happened to say that you should do the dubbing for this character. And I used to think dubbing must be the really tough thing. Like मुझे लगता है कि सिनेमा में गीत लिखना और डबिंग करना सबसे कठिन काम होता है. मतलब पहले ऐसा लगता था. गीत अभी भी मुझे लगता है. डबिंग मुझे ठीक लगता है. शायद क्योंकि कर लिया है. गीत अभी भी लिखा नहीं है वैसे तो वो बहुत टफ लगता है. But then when we were doing a Tamil film, I think then I realized what is like the whole dubbing game and how tough it can go and how worst it can go actually, because we dubbed for 30 days for a film.
Wow.
We shot for 29 days but we dubbed for more than 30 days actually. After 30 days to count खत्म कर दिया हमने कि अब तो कर ही लिया है. Filming से ज़्यादा तो कर ही लिया है. But he was very particular. He made another film called Aruvi. एंड वो फिल्म भी उन्होंने कुछ 30-35 दिन डब की थी सिर्फ उस लड़की के साथ और हमारे साथ भी ऐसा हुआ था. एंड देन व्हेन वी आर डूइंग अनदर मॉडर्न लव चेन्नई, दैट टाइम आल्सो Kumar Raja was very adamant on certain style of dubbing, and if it's a storytelling you need to say it another way. And with South Indian directors, I feel this is what at least I felt until now, is they change a lot of things in the dubbing. Like Vetriman changed the whole line. मतलब आप कुछ और बोल रहे हो और उधर और उन्होंने अपने खुद भी एक उससे बताया उन्होंने कि कैसे उन्होंने चेंज किया. So a lot of times what we actually did, they used to change it on the spot. तो वो लिप को मैच करना और then I realized there's something called microsecond. You know, like 2.3 से 2.9 का जो फर्क होता है, हमें लगा 9 का क्या है अभी, वो तो सेकंड होता है ना, सेकंड का 10वां हिस्सा, मतलब वो हमारे लिए क्या मैटर करेगा. बट व्हेन वी वर डबिंग इन साउथ इट वाज लाइक रियली टफ. सो हमारी स्कूलिंग क्योंकि वहां से हो गई थी तो हमको तो आप लोगों के साथ बहुत मजा आ रहा था.
अच्छा, वेरी गुड.
हाँ, काफी प्यार से रखा हुआ है. मतलब हमको 2-3 बार कहना पड़ता था नहीं मैं इसको एक बार और कर लेती हूँ, एक बार और कर लेती हूँ. But I was very happy that me dubbing in English for the first time, and I studied in Hindi medium school. So English is always कि वो दूर से आता हुआ monster है जिससे हमको बात नहीं करनी है. तो when I remember when they asked me about English, I said I have never dubbed in English. तो पता नहीं हमसे होगा कि नहीं. And I came on board saying कि अगर 4 दिन में आपको अच्छा नहीं लगा तो आप बता दीजिए. There will be no problem. And I mean, I'll be okay about it. And somebody else can dub, and I'll dub other 3 languages. But then I think Simran was really nice. And the most amount of days is what we took in English. but not Hindi or Tamil or Telugu and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah, so my English credit goes to actually sound and vision, and now I say to Simran sometimes कि अब मैं English में डब कर सकती हूँ, अब मैं बाकी लोगों के लिए भी डब कर सकती हूँ कि किसी और का भी है, वो बिजी है एक्टर अगर, तो उनका तमिल तेलुगु या इंग्लिश या जो भी है हम कर देंगे.
And then you did the Tamil and the Telugu versions online?
No, I was here in Bombay.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, our directors were online from
sorry,
and
yes,
from Hyderabad.
Yes, they were Hyderabad.
They were directing you remotely. How was that experience?
That was also like, because I'm not really well versed with technology. Just अभी भी 3% बैटरी है, भाग के जाना पड़ेगा. चार्जर लेके. So I was very scared पहले कि कैसे होगा. तो मुझे लगता था कि मैं टाइम से पहले आके बैठ जाऊं और मैं पहले देखूं, like फिर 1 hour में हो पाएगा कि नहीं करके. And somehow it felt easy. And fortunately they kind of knew my work earlier and they have seen it, so they have heard the voice, they have seen the other 2 previous films what I've dubbed, and the languages, so they made it a lot more easier. Yeah, I was still scared. I think मेरे को पहली बार हमेशा सिर्फ डर ही लगता है, और फिर लोग जब साथ देते हैं तो फिर हो जाता है. So it was quite nice.
All of our work is all team effort anyway. We all have to help each other to do well.
Yeah, so, I did not think that many less days we will take to dub in another language because I also done 2 Tamil things, so I also feel that they are my personal, like they're my audience. Telugu is my family audience, so I want them, when they watch and they don't know Hindi, तो उनको तेलुगु में आवाज आनी चाहिए हमारी, और Tamil because I have done it, so they are my audience. So I thought I'll dub it, and I'll dub it exactly how I dub a Telugu film or a Tamil film. And I don't want to dub it any lesser. और उसके लिए अगर मुझे 3 दिन और देने पड़ते, तो शायद I was okay about it.
That's nice. So how do you find this connect when you dub? Do you get a lot of reactions when you do your own dub in other languages versus when you don't and it's somebody else's voice?
Yes. And it's heartbreaking. Like, I remember Modern Love was dubbed by somebody else in Telugu, and one of my family members watched it in Telugu, and they told me, and I felt, "Arey, ye aa gaya." I didn't even know. Like, and I think because we took a lot of time in pehle hi, so that felt. Then I went and I checked also. So I was not really convinced because मुझे लगता है कि जब आपकी आवाज में सच अलग, झूठ अलग, हर रिश्ते से अलग आवाज सुनाई देती है. जैसे जब मैं आदर्श से बाहर बात करती हूँ, तो शायद हम अलग तरीके से बात करते हैं, और उस रिश्ते से हमारी आवाज का टोनल क्वालिटी भी डिफाइन कर देता है. जैसे पापा से अलग बात करते हैं, मम्मी से अलग बात करती है ना, तो और उसमें अरे ऐसे थोड़ा ना होता, मम्मी थोड़ा ना ऐसे, हाँ पापा हाँ बोलिए, लाइक यू नो दैट there is a वो पूरा डिम्योरी चेंज हो जाता है, आवाज चेंज हो जाती है. तो फिर हमें लगता है कि बहुत बार जब कोई और आपके लिए डबिंग करता है, तो कई बार उनको आपका इंटेंशन शायद वैसे नहीं पता होता है, या करने की उतनी ललक है या नहीं है, या पता नहीं उसकी बैक स्टोरी उनको पता है कि नहीं, तो उसमें हमको थोड़ा सा लगता है कि वो कहीं मिसिंग हो जाता है. तो अब हम बहुत ही ऐसे कहते हैं कि चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, हम खुद ही डबिंग करेंगे. इफ दैट मीन्स इट टेक्स लिटिल मोर डेज, कहीं से कुछ करना हो, सारा फिगर आउट करना हो, हम कर लेंगे, लेकिन हम खुद डब करेंगे.
Adarsh, how do you find this, the amount of effort really, because for an actor to do their own dub even in another language, it's a lot of effort, because it's your acting, it's your pace, it's your way of speaking, but then the skill of dubbing in another language, lip syncing, all of that is not something you do every day like a voice actor would do every day, and they know exactly how to fit it in. Do you think it's time well spent and it's a worthwhile effort?
100%. I think every actor should be dubbing for themselves, and of course, sometimes the timelines don't match and the schedules don't match.
And sometimes like the studios don't even know that a particular actor knows so many languages.
Knows languages, yeah. So, for example, you and people at Sound and Vision know that I speak Telugu, but a lot of people don't know I speak Telugu.
Right.
Unfortunately, I was traveling at that time when the Telugu dub happened, so I couldn't do it. But I feel like it's always, for me, it's the essential difference is having a co-actor on set and having the reality completely around you versus when you're in a studio when it's not. So
Yeah.
whenever I come to dub after, because I don't dub, like it's not something that I do every week or
Yeah.
daily. So I come after 2-3 months, and the first thing that hits me is this is just a room with four glasses and a mic in front of me, and there's no
Yeah.
co-actors. And if the scene is of a forest, there's no trees, there's no birds, nothing. So it's all the imagination. It's all through the imagination of how well you can recreate that. And of
Yeah.
course, you have the dubbing director, and you have the sounds, you have the audio cues, and you have the visuals in front of
Yes.
you a lot of times when you're sort of dubbing, like you're doing your own lines.
Yeah.
But it does feel a bit, it does take me some time to settle into that. It
Yeah.
doesn't come to me very naturally.
Yes.
um, but having said that, I feel like I've really started finding the joy in dubbing, for myself, for other characters, and also maybe also because I've always had a thing for changing my voice and like imitating people, and I do some animal impressions, and I
Yeah.
used to like mimic people in my family and mimic actors and all of this since I was a child. So I feel like all of that now is coming together through voice acting for me.
So, when you dubbed for
Sorry, can
White
I
Tiger,
just say,
sure.
Mona, I just wanted to say that I have had the good fortune of watching others dub. And usually, when original actors go into our studios, the dubbing directors who are especially working with original actors for the first time, they're a bit skeptical. They're like, "Oh, we don't know how it'll go, if they've never done it before." So they're a bit skeptical. I remember the first day when you went for, I think it was Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, I got a video of you dancing to Chaya Chaya in the booth. And the director was like, "This one is too cool. I think he will, it's going to be a breeze." And then, of course, I did go in for one of the recordings, and I have to say, you're a natural. And again, I'm saying the small things that you bring to the table, right? Where when you're saying a line, you're thinking of it from the character's perspective. You're like, no, this Bandra guy won't speak like that. Whereas the director's really looking at it to say, oh, lip flap, you can match a lip flap or whatever. So I think that the two things come together, and it becomes such a strong output at the end of the day that it kind of shows in the dub. So yeah,
Yeah,
you have
when
a
a
lot of.
voice actor is called to dub, it's like they are being called that morning, or maybe 2 days in advance or 3 days in
Yeah.
advance. So
Yeah.
you only get the time as a voice actor. You only get the time to read the lines at max,
Yeah.
Yes.
and maybe get a brief of the story. But the actor in you, if you are dubbing for yourself, then you have worked on that film for 1 year, and before that you worked on your character for 3 months, and not just about yourself, but about like where even your cricket bat is kept in the house in the film, and what your father's grandfather's name is, and you've thought so much about the character, and you've tripped on that world so much that you know the smallest of details. So then you're not stuck in the technicalities of dubbing.
Yes.
You're going beyond that. So I feel like that makes it more, it obviously it adds and gives it depth when the original actor is dubbing for himself.
Right. So, how would you differentiate the experience between what you did for White Tiger or for Guns and Gulabs? White Tiger, you did English to Hindi for yourself. Guns and Gulabs, you did Hindi to English for yourself. Versus dubbing in Free Guy for another character
Yeah,
from English to Hindi. That, how did you, was that even more alienating? Was that more difficult to get a hold of?
definitely. I mean, dubbing for another character is always more challenging and more alienating because of the same reason, because you don't understand the world. You're seeing the visual for the first time in front of you, and you're given a brief like an hour ago or maybe a day ago, and you've possibly seen the film, you haven't, depends. So a lot of it is basically your instinct and your impulse and your first interpretation of what this could be. And of course you jam with the idea, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you try something else. But it's very instinctive. I feel when you're dubbing for another character, it's more instinct driven than information driven. When you're dubbing for yourself, it's more information driven.
And now when you've done so many, you find that you're getting better and better at it and more comfortable with it.
Definitely. I also feel like I've been experimenting more with it. Like, initially when you're a bit more nervous, you don't see as many options in front of you. But then when you're a little more relaxed and you're used to it, you
Yeah.
start seeing more things. You start seeing things more clearly.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
ready to like try out different things which give you like interesting options, and then you know, it can push you to a direction where you wouldn't expect yourself to be in.
You're able to step back from it a little bit and think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. As opposed to, oh shit, this is so daunting, I'm going to be in a studio and I'm going to be judged. Like, you know, once you're relaxed, step back, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. And it's also nice to be in a comfortable environment where, you know that, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm here to do. I know that we can play around with this. We have a lot of flexibility. We can.
And I really feel that I have that comfort with you, Mona, you know, like, because you're probably the only voice director that I've worked with repeatedly over the years. I mean, I've done one-off things with people here and there, but with you, I've repeatedly come to your studio and dubbed and, you know, hung out with you and spoken to you about things. And so I feel like there's such a comfort that we share, and that really helps me in, like, sort of being relaxed about the whole process.
And likewise, you know, we don't always find actors who are so willing to learn and wanting to improve and really use this opportunity as an opportunity to improve on another skill that helps them in their work, in their everyday work.
I mean, yeah, like, as it is, I feel like actors of my generation specifically don't do any work on their voice. They sound pretty much the same in every character they play. And I think that voice acting and through dubbing and voiceovers, it really gives you that opportunity to sort of experiment with yourself, and then you can carry that to camera acting. You know, you don't necessarily need to, like, कि यहाँ खो जा और यहीं तक सीमित है, उसको आप वहाँ carry कर सकते हो उस चीज को.
Right, and you know, we've worked with so many actors who over the years have come and told us, now that I'm doing dubbing so regularly, when I go to act in front of the camera, I'm so much less self-aware because, you know, I'm saying the lines so effortlessly that now I can work a lot more on my look, on the scene, on the co-actors. I can concentrate, focus on a lot more other things because this part of it is coming so easily to me. So, you know, reading words, playing around with them, somebody changes a word here, there, nothing bothers you, nothing really frazzles you anymore. So I think initially maybe that is something that hits actors the most, that the amount of times we change words and change lines and says, okay, we say, okay, let's try this and let's try that and what sounds better, what sings better, what feels better.
Also, how your own voice sounds to you in your headphone. You know, I think people get like really like, wow, is this how I sound? Like,
exactly. It's like when people audition, right? And they see themselves on screen for the first time and like, is that the way I act? Is that really what I do? You know, it's that out of body experience that you don't have, right? When you're not used to assessing yourself from the outside. So everybody goes through that when they hear their voice is when people come to auditions. Similarly, how people, when they go to audition for acting roles, you know, they feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I was behaving like that. I don't even do that normally. People don't realize they have certain mannerisms, which they only notice when they're watching themselves or listening to themselves. So yeah, it is definitely quite an experience. And Bhanu, are you feeling that this process is helping you in terms of acing the language game, acing the dubbing game, getting more comfortable with words in general, with scripts in general?
Yeah, I've been a radio jockey earlier, so that feeling, and then newsreader after that, and then here I actually voiced for animation शुरुआत के दिनों में, also थोड़ा बहुत, तो उसमें वो बच्चों की आवाज निकालनी होती है, मतलब वैसे, तो वो हमने किया था. But personally, the thing I like about dubbing is you can change your voice completely for a film. That's what I learned when I did my previous Tamil film. That voice and what I'm talking right now has there's no identical match also. मतलब मुझे पता है कि बहुत लोगों को लगता है वो तुमने डब किया है. मतलब there is a magazine which says kudos to dubbing artist, where I had to come and say that's mine. Thank you. Yeah. But dubbing gives you that much of like experimentation time maybe. और कई बार ऐसा होता है कि यार ये अभी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, पर शायद डबिंग तक समझ में आ जाएगा. कई बार आप एक्चुअली परफॉर्मेंस को एलिवेट कर सकते हो डबिंग के थ्रू. आई नो मे बी बिकॉज यहाँ पर बहुत सिंक साउंड होता है, तो शायद उस चीज को वो नहीं हो पाता. पर कई बार आपका एक्सप्रेशन एकदम ऑन पॉइंट है, पर शायद वॉइस उतनी ऑन पॉइंट नहीं हो पाई. अब उसके 50 कारण हो सकते हैं, आपकी आवाज खराब थी ये भी हो सकता है, और सामने वाला कुछ हो सकता है, कहीं कहीं भी कुछ भी हो सकता है, या फिर क्लीन करते हुए आवाज कहीं खो सकती है। लेकिन जब जब आप उसको डबिंग में फिर से सही कर देते हो तो वो एक थोड़ा सा क्रुकेडनेस फिक्स हो जाता है। तो मुझे पर्सनली डबिंग वहां पर बहुत सही लगती है कि या कई बारी अगर आपके ओवर द शोल्डर हैं और मे बी शोल्डर मस्ट बी टॉकिंग समथिंग, बट मतलब पीछे से वो सही लग रहा है कि कंधे झुके हुए हैं, सही है, पर शायद आवाज में वो इंटैक्ट नहीं रहा, तो आप उसको भी एलिवेट कर सकते हो। तो मुझे डबिंग बहुत अच्छा लगता है पर्सनली। जब यहाँ पर मुझे पता है कि हिंदी बेल्ट में इतना डबिंग नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि सिंक साउंड है और उसकी सुविधा भी उपलब्ध है बहुत सारी, पर कई बारी जो फिर भी एक दो लाइन डालनी होती है तो तब करते हैं। तो जब तब बुलाते हैं तो हम जाकर और भी कुछ एक दो देख लेते हैं कि एक बार वो वाला दिखाओ ना, एक बार अगर उसमें कोई डाउट है तो कर लेते हैं। So personally, I like it.
Older actors are very very comfortable with this, and this line ke dubbing mein theek kar lenge had almost become a joke, to the point where even if there was something wrong with the actual scene or the acting, they'd say dubbing mein theek kar lenge, when actually you can't really do anything with the picture in the dub. But
I feel ठीक कर लेंगे तो देखिए, ठीक तो कभी भी नहीं हो रहा होता है, वो तो बस एक प्रक्रिया है जो करने की कोशिश की जाती है, वो जितना हो
that older actors, they had used to actually use this as a tool to elevate their performance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, on their styling के लिए एक better हो सकता है कि आपकी आवाज पहले से अगर आ रही है, जैसे कई बारी आपके इंट्रोडक्शन सीन में, जैसे चारकट आत्माराम का जो पूरी वॉइस और उनकी पूरी जो ग्लोरी है उस कैरेक्टर की, वो अलग से मतलब वॉइस में निकल कर आती है उसके, जब वो उसके आने से पहले उसकी जब आवाज आती है तो वो आवाज में बहुत सुंदर तरीके से की जा सकती है। अब वो भी नहीं चाहेंगे कि वो स्पॉट डब कर दें उस चीज को और दे दें। कई बार जब कोई कहता है कि स्पॉट डब कर दीजिए फिर वापस नहीं आना पड़ेगा, तो हम कर तो देते हैं क्योंकि वो चाह रहे हैं, लेकिन हम फिर बाद में पूछते हैं, याद रखते हैं कि आपको वो स्पॉट डब सही मिला, क्योंकि शायद उस समय आप देख नहीं रहे हो, कुछ सोच के कोशिश तो कर रहे हो, पर कितनी कामयाब होती है वो तो बाद में ही पता चलता है। तो मुझे लगता है डबिंग इज अ ग्रेट टूल टू एलिवेट द परफॉर्मेंस फॉर श्योर। एंड अगर आप लैंग्वेजेस कर सकते हैं आप अपने खुद के लिए, तो वो तो वैसे भी एक एडेड पॉइंट हो जाता है कि आप दूसरी लैंग्वेज में भी अपने आप को सुन सकते हैं और बेहतर तरीके से सुन सकते हैं करते हुए।
राइट। And Ashwini, how are you guys looking at this in terms of the whole marketing aspect? I've been noticing that Netflix is really enjoying putting out there all the different languages and how the same thing is being spoken in different languages. So has this really added an edge to the whole marketing angle?
Absolutely. I think it gives a great, it's a talking point. And I know that you have been one of the biggest advocates for many years, saying, we're dubbing in so many languages, but you guys are not doing anything. You're not telling people how will they discover. So I think, again, full credit to Netflix, and just by virtue of the kind of product it is, the kind of conversations that we can have and push through, and the importance that Netflix gives to dubs, right? Because we believe very strongly that the story will travel if that dub is good, or at least even if it exists at the minimum. So I think it's just been 2.5 years of pushing and saying, let's do the messaging. That's the minimum lovable product for us for now, to say at least bata do available in Hindi, English, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada. Have a choice to watch. That's but one part.
But then when you have original actors coming in, that really elevates the whole marketing game also for all of you, right?
I mean, honestly, I think for us now it's becoming like the minimum, that we can do, because it's what are we doing to make this as authentic as possible? And again, original actors come with their own audiences. People know how they sound. People know they can speak multiple languages because they're following them on social media so close. And really that scope to cheat becomes, much less. So honestly, from our perspective, we feel like it's the least we can do to create an authentic experience. Maybe over the 2.5 years, now that we've made it kind of a norm, thanks to you and other dubbing studios, it's not become like a marketing conversation. They're like, ye to aap karoge na. So that's mostly our marketing, say, oh yeah, we will promote. So I think it's the fact is in the confidence to say we will tell people on hoardings that this is available in 5 languages, and that in itself is enough. And then I think it's an Easter egg for fans who tune in for to watch their favorite actors. It's like, it's at least it's my favorite actor's voice, and it's not distracting, and I can kind of get through the whole thing. But I'll give you an example of what we did for marketing specifically. Was Squid Game. And Squid Game was a sleeper hit. Nobody knew, that it was going to do so well. We just realized people are watching Squid Game, like, what is this show? Even internally, we were like, oh, let's go and check out ये क्या चल रहा है, क्यों लोग इतना देख रहे हैं? And then when we realized it became such a big hit and people are watching it across the world, we had this fun idea. We said, okay, now we need to promote the dubs. We need to make sure that we're kind of pushing that number a little bit in India to say let more people discover dubs. And if you remember, there's Anupam Tripathi, who's an Indian actor based out of Korea. He stars in Squid Game.
Yes.
And this was in the middle of the pandemic. We just had this random idea, and we said, can we have Anupam redub all his lines in Hindi? So he fully dubbed Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, everything. And we said, can we just get Anupam to redub? Overnight, he agreed. We did remote dub. We had our director here in Mumbai, Anupam in Korea, and yeah, we just got him to dub. We dubbed some. We created some YouTube videos, and he sort of promoted the dub, saying, Squid Game, also enjoy it in Hindi in my voice. And I think that's where the marketing really sort of more reactive maybe now, where there's a story to tell, or there's that connect with the actor. With, say, for example, with a Dulquer, you were also there. He was more, he wanted to make sure more than us that he did it.
Yes.
To do right by his fans more than anything else. So I think that's the beauty of it. And the more it's coming together, I feel like it's becoming our minimum lovable product. Having said that, I do want to say that we have some amazing dubbing actors, voice actors, who have come to our rescue when, really big original actors have maybe refused to do it for different reasons, right? Availability, like you said, we dub so close to the schedule, like when the promotions of the film, that it's not possible to have the actors in the dubbing studio at that point. And I think we have some great, Mona, you included, giving voices for some really top actors and actresses. So I think it's really what that show requires, what the actors bring to the table, and it for me, I feel really like hopeful now, because we have people like Banu, we have people like Adarsh, Dulquer, Rana, all of them who are coming forward and saying, "नहीं, ये तो मुझे ही करना पड़ेगा." So it's really not a struggle. It's really not a marketing gimmick. It is part of the content as much as anything else. Like Malayalam to be dubbed by Dulquer was a no-brainer. It had to be. It couldn't have been anyone else. How many ever people watch it, whether the numbers are, sort of validating it or not eventually. But yeah, I think I'm loving the fact that we're getting slightly stronger as the dubbing fraternity. And it's also being seen as part of the original content to some extent.
Yeah. Unfortunately, भानु, हमको 30-35 दिन तो मिलते ही नहीं है एक फिल्म डब करने के लिए.
Let's not go there.
No, but that's.
I'm jealous of you.
Yeah, वहाँ से ट्रेनिंग करके हम यहाँ आए, तो अब हमें ठीक लगता है. हमें कितनी भी दिन लगा लो, हमें लगता है हाँ ठीक ही है. I think sometimes I really think like when I come here, and the structure is a lot more easier and things like that. There's so many people, and I'm like, इधर इतना आसान क्यों है? Like थोड़ा टफ क्यों नहीं हो सकता? Like I think maybe I'm not habitual of it. So a lot of times I can dub for more than 10 hours. Like वो एक, या तो फिर आपको पता होता है कि उस सीन में कोई आवाज है जो चिल्लाई हुई है, तो उसके लिए अभी डब कर लेते हैं. ये आवाज जो थक गई है, ये उस पे काम कर जाएगा, या फिर उसमें चिल्लाना है तो चिल्लाने वाला सबसे लास्ट में कर लेंगे. Of course the dubbing director always there to help you. पर क्योंकि हमने शायद स्कूलिंग जो है वो बहुत टफ और तगड़े टाइम पे हुई है, जिसका अब मुझे गुमान है. मतलब उस टाइम पे जैसा भी लगा होगा कि थक रहे हैं, पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. But I think this happened with even Samantha when she was dubbing Super Deluxe. I think she dubbed more than 30 days for that character. Or same with Vijay Sethupathi, he used to dub by 5 to I think 9 in the morning only. उनकी आवाज उसी समय उस ट्रांसजेंडर कैरेक्टर के लिए फिट थी. तो उस समय उन्होंने एक इंटरव्यू में भी ये बात बताई थी, और ऐसे भी वो बताते रहते हैं कि मतलब and that way maybe the days goes longer and things like that, but आपको डबिंग की अहमियत भी समझ में आने लगती है. Like personally I'm a dubbing fan. मतलब मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब मैं कभी थोड़ा सा भी डबिंग देखती हूँ जो मेरे पसंदीदा एक्टर का है, जिनमें बहुत सारी लड़कियां हैं जो मेरे पियर्स हैं एक्चुअली, और अगर उनकी मुझे लगता है कि वो बहुत सुंदर परफॉर्मेंस है. आई वाज सेइंग इट टू अश्विनी आल्सो कि अगली बार आई विल डब फॉर लाइक कि अगर मुझे पता है कि उनकी फिल्म आ रही है और अगर हमारे पास टाइम है, वो उनके पास टाइम नहीं है, जो भी है, और अगर वो कहती हैं कि हाँ ठीक है ये कर दे हमारा डब, तो हम कर देंगे उनके लिए डब. क्योंकि ऐसे एज अ सिनेमा वो बहुत सुंदर दिखता है. जब आप भी देखने जाते हो उसको सिनेमा हॉल में, तो वो बहुत अच्छा लगता है. या कहीं भी आप देख रहे हो, जो भी आपके लोग देख रहे हैं, cinema should win. So it will be better if dubbed very nicely. So I will dub for anybody, like everybody.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, Ashwini, both, I mean, of course, both have their pros and cons, a voice actor dubbing versus the original actor dubbing. But I think the people watching it in that language, they get very excited to know that the original actor is speaking their language in their voice and they've made that effort. ये बहुत बार comments में आ जाता है, पता है कि so happy that you made this effort.
Yes,
yes. Happy that you did this for us. The audience, feels that you have given them like something special.
I think that I have seen a lot in guns, especially with दुलकर, और हमारी भी जो लिमिटेड जितने भी लोग हैं उसमें जिनको पता चल गया कि हमने ही डब किया है, और दुलकर के ऊपर बहुत सारे ऐसे कमेंट्स हैं कि उन्होंने डब किया हमारे लिए, कि अरे आपने डब किया. जैसे देयर आर गंगू और हमारे सीन्स जो सोशल मीडिया पे काफी वायरल हुए, बहुत लोगों ने बताना शुरू किया कि ये तमिल में भी है और उसने ही डब किया है, तो आप जाके देख लीजिए. हाँ, तो मतलब लोग एक दूसरे को बता रहे हैं. अगर आप बहुत सोशल मीडिया पे एक्टिव भी नहीं है तो भी लोग एक दूसरे को बताने का जिम्मा ले रहे हैं, तो उनको पता, क्योंकि शायद आपने इतनी मेहनत से किया है और वो मेहनत का रिवॉर्ड भी वो आपको देते ही हैं.
So it really builds the word of mouth in that sense, and it also builds maybe your audience in that language and in that market. So I think it's very interesting for the original actor. I mean, I know it is very different from your everyday job. It is very different from what you normally do, what you're used to doing. It's a slightly different skill. It's like Adarsh says, in a dark room, you're stuck in a dark room for hours together. You're holed up with no co-actors around you, no ambience, no feel of what you're playing, who you are, where you should be, no context, and you're having to recreate all of these things in your head, and then remain constantly focused on the screen, listening. I know it's a lot for an actor who's used to being surrounded by co-actors, being on set, being in costume. There's so much to add to who you are at that moment, that I can imagine how difficult it is when you're doing these languages in a studio. But kudos to you guys that you've really made the effort, and your audiences are loving it. I can see your producers are definitely loving it. The platforms are totally loving it. So keep up the great work. I think it's been an interesting discussion that we've been having. I should maybe try and wrap up now in the interest of time, because we've been at it almost for an hour now. And these kind of discussions, the more you build on them, there's no end to it. But all in all, I hope it's been a great experience for you, Adarsh, and you, Bhanu. And Netflix, so I know, very happy with the fact that the original actors are coming back and doing their own work and taking more interest. And you guys are, in that sense, trailblazers for a lot of actors who actually find it too tedious and don't want to really put in the time. Of course, they may not have the time to put in because of other projects, etc. But even to make that effort, some people really don't want to make that effort because they do feel it's a little too difficult. That we've had such situations where actors have come in, done a day, and said, what, this is just taking too long. I cannot put in this kind of time and effort. It's really not worthwhile. So in that scenario, for you guys to put in this, and also you guys are from the generation of Sing Sound, as Bhanu rightly said, and you've not done as much dubbing as a lot of the other actors who to pehli film se wo to khali dub hi kar rahe hain. So dubbing is a part of the job, irrespective, for every product. For a lot of the older actors, for you guys, it's much less. It's patchwork, it's corrections, it's things like that. So then to come and have to recreate an entire performance exactly, and that too in another language, is definitely hard for you. I'm very sure of that. So thank you for investing the time and the effort, and I hope many actors take up, walk in your footsteps and do the same, because there is definitely a lot of value addition in doing your own work and building that connect, that little extra connect with your audience, and making it more exciting for that audience in that language.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming on board. Thanks, Ashwini, for doing this, even though you're on leave. Others, you're in the middle of promotions, and Bhanu is about to take a flight and
Yes.
really wanting to run away now. So I remember, don't worry.
Yeah. Also, congratulations on your 25th anniversary yesterday.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Now the entire nation knows, Mona.
Huh?
Now the entire country knows.
Now the entire
Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Adarsh. Thank you, Bhanu. Thank you, Ashwini. Thank you, everyone. I think Mona summed it up beautifully that you guys are the trailblazers, because you're putting in that extra effort in understanding the craft of voice acting. You're actually showing more value to what this craft deserves. And my very humble invite to Ashwini, Adarsh, and Bhanu for the 17th of December, when we have the grand finale. I know Ashwini is traveling. Mona is obviously there. Mona will obviously be there. Mona is a part of India Voice Fest. But Adarsh and Bhanu, it would be lovely if you guys can make it on Sunday the 17th for some time. Adarsh, I know you're in the middle of your promotions for Kho Gaye Hum Kahan. It's coming out on the 26th. All the best. It looks crazy. It looks fantastic, and we're all waiting to see it on Netflix. That was a nice plug. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All the best, Adarsh. All the best, Ashwini, for Kho Gaye Hum Kahan.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Really looking forward to this one.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Mona. Bye.
Lovely. That was such a wonderful, insightful, engaging, and informative and very inspiring session, if I may say, with Mona Shetty, Ashwini Kulkarni, Adarsh Gaurav, and TJ Bhanu. So thank you to all of them. And this brings us to an end to this evening's India Voice Fest 2023 के online sessions. 7 दिसंबर को शुरू किया था हमने इस साल का ये सफर, 10 दिनों का ये इवेंट। जब हमने शुरू किया तो एक हाथी की तरह हमें महसूस हो रहा था, पर देखते ही देखते 8 दिन निकल गए और कल 9वां दिन है। कल आखिरी दिन है ऑनलाइन सेशंस का, और उसके बाद 16 तारीख को छुट्टी है। छुट्टी एज इन हमारे लिए छुट्टी नहीं है, पर हम 17 तारीख के लिए हमने 16 तारीख का एक ब्रेक रखा है, ताकि वी कैन वर्क वेरी हार्ड टू ब्रिंग अप अ ब्यूटीफुल इवेंट ऑन द 17th। तो अगर आपने अभी तक ग्रैंड फिनाले का डेलीगेट पास नहीं लिया है, तो ये रहा आपका QR कोड, इसको स्कैन कीजिए और ग्रैंड फिनाले एंड अवार्ड्स का पास ले सकते हैं। एंड आई होप many ऑफ यू कम फॉर दिस, क्योंकि इंडिया वॉइस फेस्ट, जैसा मैंने कहा, सिर्फ एक इवेंट नहीं है, कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं है, ये भारत का इकलौता, पहला, सबसे बड़ा, सबसे चहीता और एक पाथ ब्रेकिंग मूवमेंट है, एक पाथ ब्रेकिंग इनिशिएटिव है, जिसने सैकड़ों आवाजों को चेहरे दिए हैं, जिसने पूरी कोशिश की है पूरी शिद्दत के साथ कि वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के हर तरह के प्रोफेशनल्स को ग्लोरीफाई किया जाए, उनको शोकेस किया जाए, और हमारी इस क्राफ्ट और हमारी इंडस्ट्री के बारे में चर्चा बढ़े, बातें बढ़े, अवेयरनेस बढ़े, जागरूकता बढ़े, ताकि आने वाले वक्त में धीरे धीरे, जैसा मैं हमेशा कहता हूं, वॉइस इंडस्ट्री के लिए दुनिया में हवा बदले, एंड वी गेट बेटर एंड मोर ग्लोरी शाइन्स ऑन अस। सो इसी संकल्प के साथ थैंक यू सो मच फॉर अ लवली इवनिंग, एंड आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू सी यू टुमारो। कल शाम को 7 बजे मिलेंगे फॉर अनदर लवली सेशन, जिसकी डिटेल्स आपको अभी कुछ ही क्षणों में दिखेंगी। सो आई विल सी यू टुमारो। टिल देन, थैंक यू, बाय बाय एंड गुड नाइट।